You're a goddamn fool, Herman. Claymation looking ass, firing top brass, bottom of your class. Oh, Herman, Herman, Herman. Stupid, stupid Herman. Herman, no clue what you're doing. Oh, Herman, somehow you have a job, working like a slob. No one likes you, Herman, you suck. Herman loves horizon, even though it's mid. Now he runs PlayStation like a mark of skid. Herman, Herman, Herman. Stupid, stupid Herman. Herman, no clue what you're doing. Oh, Herman, somehow you have a job, working like a slob. No one likes you, Herman, you suck. Herman smells like fish, probably eats children. I kinda think he's a lizard. A literal rock would be better. Herman, Herman, Herman. Stupid, stupid Herman. Herman, no clue what you're doing. Oh, Herman, somehow you have a job, working like a slob. No one likes you, Herman, you suck. Herman, you suck. Herman, you suck.
I'm vibing.
Ubisoft, what are we doing? Life, what the hell are we doing? Why are you like this? Everything is delayed. Everything is canceled. I get it. You're trying to polish, but still this is wild and I'm freaking out.
I'm vibing.
Imagine a hero shooter where the hero never showed. Imagine a game with a player base that just refused to grow. A 5v5 hero shooter with gameplay that's just okay, and characters that remind me of Tupperware and white bread. No, I'm not talking about Overwatch. Please stop bringing up Overwatch. This game is not Overwatch. It's actually something else. Imagine a game with a story that no one watches. A game that costs $40 that Sony totally botches. It has all my favorite characters, like Lemmy, Dawn, and Craig. At least, I think that's what their names are. I never bothered to check. Concord like the grave, your legacy is safe as a game that no one played, and a price that no one paid. Boop-a-doop-ba, deep-a-doop-da, scoop-a-boop-ba, beep-beep-beep-beep-beep, phlegm. Concord was about as good as accidentally peeing on your own leg. Concord, we're here to lay you to rest. We know you tried your best. You copied so much cool stuff just to turn out lame in the end. I'll never forget my favorite moments, like when Hot Sauce Guy jumped. Remember when he jumped? That was really cool. A rat just ran by on my desk, and even the rat didn't want to play Concord, even though I blessed him with the chance. The $40 he could afford, but the rat just stared on in a trance. Rat, 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 rat. Concord's dead. Rat, 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 rat. Concord's dead.
Disco guys made more money than you. They were just on Jimmy Fallon too. Imagine Lennox being on Jimmy Fallon, because I literally can't. The rat on my desk is eating all my Cheerios and grapes. And also Concord is dead. Concord like the grave. Your legacy is safe as a game that no one played, and a price that no one paid. Rat-a-ta-ta beep-a-da, boom. Skim, milk, the rat fleet, doo-da, doo-da. A guy said he really liked it, and then a bunch of rats ate his face. That's the sound he made when Concord passed away. I wish things turned out different, but either way I'm getting paid. Concord's dead, Concord's dead, and boy is my face red. When the game came out, everybody overslept. Concord's dead, Concord's dead. Holy crap, Lois, Concord's dead. When the game out, people played everything else instead.
Yes. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. It actually looks like most of them moved over to Marathon. The server slam opened, I kid you not, 61 minutes ago, and it's already at 133,000. I believe my guess was it was gonna sit like around, I think my guess was 149. I forget what I said last stream. I was like, I think if they can do 149, then that's crazy. If they like peak past 250,000 peak over the weekend, that's going to be insane. 139 or 149? Did I say 139? Oh, baby, I'm sweating. Oh, I'm sweating. Yeah, I mean, I will say I booted it up. I tried around before we went live. It is way better than it was over the summer. Like, way better. Is it enough? I don't know. But my stance has been for the last 2-3 months that I think they've done enough work that now there will be a solid audience for it. I don't know if that audience is like, I don't think it's Arc Raiders level. I don't think it's 200,000 concurrent for weeks and weeks. But you know, I could easily see it sitting after the dust settles at like 30 to 40,000 concurrent, which is still a very good number for a live service game. Is it enough for a $4 billion company? Probably not. But it's also, Bungie is no longer the $4 billion company they were when they were bought. They've been downsized. It's like half the size it was when Sony bought it, which is crazy. But yeah, we'll see. It won't even let me download the game. Really? Like, it's Steam is freaking out. I will say I didn't have any load-in issues or problems with like wait times. So maybe there is a queue now. I'm not sure. No Twitch today? There should be Twitch. Yeah, you're right. Twitch isn't going. That's weird. Yeah. I have this open on Twitch and it says it is sending data to Twitch. But it's not working. That's freaking weird, dude. Let me try re-enabling Twitch. See if that helps. That's freaking weird, dude. I don't understand. Yeah, Twitch just isn't working. Huh. Twitch isn't up for me? Okay. Oh no. Anyways. Yeah, that's strange. Yeah, it says it's sending data to Twitch. It's just Twitch isn't accepting data. Our Twitch account is fine. So I don't know what that's about. That's weird. I did see that Twitch is now, they walked back, the CEO got bullied into walking back the no cross chat, no blended chat. So I added it back on screen right in time for it to not work, which is a little funny. Just a little funny. Also, a little bit of housekeeping. I got some feedback from some people. They said, Luke, the like text to speech is too much. People are being too generous and giving you too much money. I said, fair. stop giving me money. So I adjusted the minimum for text to speech. I will still read all of those messages, but just so it's not as disruptive. That's at least the idea. If you're crazy enough to want to send a 20, that's awesome. It'll read it on stream. But this way it won't be as disruptive for the people that are trying to listen, you know, suffering from success. Literally, dude, literally, my life is so hard. It's so hard. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know why Twitch isn't working. Sorry, fam. Sorry, that's weird. It should be. Yeah, no, all of those settings are right. It's just Twitch isn't working today. Odd. I don't know. Above my pay grade. Figure it out, Twitch. They're up to 135. Bada bing, bada boom, and climbing. We'll see where they settle on by the end of today. Today, we have a handful of things to chat about. For one, I witnessed an assault. Some of you guys might have seen it. This was at the Crimson Desert event. I can't talk about the Crimson Desert event until the embargo lifts, so I can't tell you anything. But there was a troop of guys. Jimmy was one of them. This guy, Jimmy, really cool guy, Los Angeles Golden Knight, Boohurt fighter, I guess. And basically, these are guys that dress up in medieval armor, and then they beat the ever-loving crap out of each other. That's apparently a thing. And so they went to the Crimson Desert event, and the whole idea was like, hey, you can pick up whatever weapon you want and beat us up with it and like hit the crap out of us. And so they said, like, go for it, hit us as hard as you want. And Cowboy, you tell fighting Cowboy, hit me as hard as you want. He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. And he did. Dude, the first swing, exactly. First swing, full strength to the neck. Bro. Dude, the moment that first swing came in, we all were like, oh God, oh. And listen, if you tell somebody, hit me as hard as you can, and you hand it to like a 6'4" beef, I don't know what the term is, muscly man, he's gonna do it. Okay. So if you only wanted him to do 50%, say 50%. That's kind of where I'm at. Did he get arrested? No. The backstory is that this guy's actually a fan of fighting Cowboys. So he was like, bro, I follow you on YouTube. I followed you for years. Can you hit me with an axe as hard as you can? Which, honestly, it's a vibe. But you can see this first hit, everybody goes, oh God, oh no. I'm standing like right over here. So it's like a little square, whatever, ring, I guess. And I'm just past this left pillar over here. And dude, when he took that swing, I was like, oh my God. And dude, he starts doing combos. Like, wait till you see him take the swipe at the back of the dude's leg. There's some lady screaming, that's too hard. One of them yelled, that's awful. Listen again. Stop it. Stop it. Like, dude, that was crazy. For me, it was the combo where he swiped the back of like his leg. That is an artery shot. That is, I'm ending this bloodline officially. Like the first one, okay, the head. Okay, where else are you gonna hit? This one on the arm. Okay, that's fine. The gut, that one killed him over. The swipe to the shoulder, that's fine. That's really armored, whatever. The back leg shot, dude, that one, and then back to the gut, and then again to the other hip. I think that's what freaked me out, was that he wasn't targeting the armored spots. He was going for the flesh, man. He was going for the flesh. It was a lot. It was a lot. But the dude afterwards, so he's like kind of limping.
It's okay, guys. I was just
And then Lua is like, I'll jump in. He's kind of limping. He let him go again, which I don't think they filmed. So he went again, and the same thing happened, and he got really good. And he came over and leant on the bar right in front of me, and he has his mask on, and he's like, and it looks like he's in bad pain, and his hands are like shaking as he's trying to take the whatever like visor off of his helmet, and he takes it up, and Cowboy's starting to feel like really bad, like, oh no, did I like seriously hurt him? And we lift up the visor, and it's just, he's just smirking. So I think he was also kind of hamming it up a little bit. But yeah, dude, I wouldn't want to be receiving those shots. I wouldn't want to. Dude, this looks like I'm not walking right for a week. When they said, how hard can I go? They said, we have a tournament in 2 weeks. Plenty of time to heal. That was the mentality. What tells me that that wasn't too hard is that he didn't flinch. Okay, this is like the guy that was running it and like setting everybody up. And if you watch throughout this whole thing, he doesn't move or flinch an inch. He's like, yeah, it's whatever. And then he gives a little nod. Oh, good. If you've never seen the videos of these guys at like tournaments, dude, this is kind of light compared to how they actually do it. It's not that bad, but it certainly, it was jarring because I think everybody was like, yata, cling, cling, cling. Not Cowboy. Cowboy was like, I'm gonna end this guy. I'm gonna end him. Yeah, it was pretty insane. Caleb, thank you for the 10. Luke, have you had the chance to do a funny and redo Concord's Dead and only change it out to be High Guard? I am trying to figure out a way to do that. The tool that Jacob used to make the song doesn't allow you to just tweak like one word. It like regenerates the whole thing. So even melodically, it's different. You can choose to use the same chords and stuff, but just by how these tools work, it doesn't really let you tweak just like one word. I'm hoping they add that in an update, because that would be freaking hilarious if we just update it and then it's just, High Guard's dead. High Guard's dead. I think that'd be funny, but it doesn't really work yet. So we're working on it. Somebody reached out. They said, hey, if you want me to record an original, like real song about High Guard, let me know. And I was like, that could be freaking funny if we opened up the show with like a really, really intense thing. I also thought it could be funny if at the end of the year, when we do our Game of the Year awards, we do like, you know how the Oscars has the in memory of segment for like actors and actresses who passed away that year. I thought it could be funny to do that for games, like horrible live service games that flopped. But some people said that might be in poor taste. Which, fair. I get it, honestly. I get it. Because it's not just the game failing. It's also a lot of people losing their jobs, usually. So I get it. But I still think it would have been like a little funny. I still think it would have been a little funny. Just a little, a little bit funny. Jordan, thank you for the 5. Luke, where's the best place to reach out about arranging an interview? We'd love you to, or I can't read it. We'd love to get you in Outer Haven for a discussion. The same link that you see on all my like link tree and all of that, just Luke at 28th Ave, 28THAVE. That's the best way, because that way it all goes into the same like docket and list where we plan everything I do. So that's the best way. Won't get lost in the shuffle. Plus, my manager is much better about like organizing my schedule than I am. Intergalactic Pirate Radio, thank you for the 10. Hey Luke, great to see you, man. Wanted to get your 2 cents on the leadership shift at Remedy and your overall opinion on Control Resonant and its shift in gameplay focus. I think Control Resonant looks baller. I think it looks really, really good. I'm excited to play it. I also am not really surprised that they are going in a new direction with it, like with their leaders. I mean, Resonant. There it is. I almost typed in dissonant. I think it makes sense why they're getting a new leadership team, because Remedy has always made really good games. They're not a very profitable studio. Like, they just don't make a lot of money. They make wacky games that are crazy, but they haven't really figured out how to monetize it to the fullest extent, you know? They just haven't really gotten there. And so I think that maybe, you know, the new leadership could help them figure that out. Not necessarily with, like, I'm not saying microtransactions and loot boxes. I really pray that doesn't happen. But I mean, like, how do they boost pre-order numbers? How do they get people outside of their core fan base to come and buy these games? Because right now I think they just have a diehard fan base, but then when it comes to the mainstream, they haven't really been able to break in, at least in a while. Even games like Alan Wake 2, fantastic games, they did not break even for like 2 years, which is crazy. You know, you compare that to like a Mugenics, which of course is an exceptional example, but that's why I'm bringing it up. A Mugenics, which can break even in like 30 minutes, you know, or 3 hours or whatever it was. It can break even super fast. So they just have to figure out how to get people, it seems, more excited to the point where they show up and spend money up front. And so I think that's why they've done it, because they clearly have the game talent. It's how do you sell it to people? How do you get more people to buy it day one for full price? That's the tricky bit. That's the tricky bit. Yeah. Oh, dude, I have all of this cropped so weird because of the adjustments we had to make last week. Cringe. There we go. Crop, uncrop. There we go. We're getting there. Okay. Yeah, the Epic Game Store exclusives I think also didn't really work for a lot of people. A lot of people weren't interested in that. Comments on the Hexe stuff, I have that pulled up. We will talk about it, so don't worry. We will get to that. Don't worry. Also, remember, whenever you're feeling in doubt or concerned, Yes We Candle. I got the poster in. It comes framed. It's really nice. If you want it, it is available in the merch store. I don't know why you'd want it, but if you want it, it's available. Let's see. Degrees Below. Think of the two. A 6-foot muscly man is also known as a beef daddy. I almost said beefcake, but I think that has connotations, so I didn't say it. But I did think it. You probably, if you watch back when I was like, yeah, if you hand the axe to a gigantic 6-foot whatever beef, I was about to say beefcake, but I was like, I think that can be a sexual term, so I'm not going to use that term. But now I said it out loud anyways. Oops. We're in too deep now. Alucard, thank you for the 10. I'm pretty sure you saw the news already, but Daniel Vavra is stepping away from the game development to focus on making Kingdom Come Deliverance movie. Yes, he is, and honestly, I think it's probably best for everybody. For one, his writing is really good. If you like Mafia, he's the guy behind that, or KCD 2, or KCD 1. He knows how to write a good story and compelling characters and everything. So him working on a movie, I think, is great. As for why it helps Warhorse, Daniel is very outspoken, especially politically. And that's just, even if you agree with him, it's just a headache for that team to deal with. When they're just trying to make a game and then they have to be like, okay, the game looks great, but this guy said this. You know, you just don't have to deal with that. You know, and so I think it'll be better for everybody, but we'll see. Let's see. Small question. Can you dice in Crimson? Like play dice? I don't think they've shown any dice. They showed in that trailer playing like cards, but I don't think they've shown any dice. I think cards is like the mini game for that. Did you get hands-on again with Crimson Desert? Yes. So for anybody not familiar, I did get to go to Los Angeles. The New Game Plus crew showed up too. And yeah, we got to try Crimson Desert. I got to play over 6 hours. So I will have a lot to say, no doubt. A lot to say. Patience. Can't say it yet. Gotta wait. Anyway, I thought about making a joke. It's not worth it. Yeah, so this weekend, just an update before we get into the AC stuff. Just a little update for you. This weekend is busy. Marathon, let's see what's at now. They're up to 139,000 for the server slam. And it's been open for an hour and 20 minutes. So, and some people are reporting they can't even download it yet. So they're working on it. I mean, those are good numbers. Those are good numbers. What is also happening is there is apparently a, oh, wait. Oh, Jason Schreier just posted an article. We'll get to that in a second. The other thing that's happening is Horizon Hunters Gathering is doing a closed play test this weekend where they're also going to be inviting select gamers to try it, offer feedback. It is not a server slam, so as far as I understand, it is not open to the public. You have to be specifically selected for it. And then when you're selected, you're under NDA, so you can't talk about it. But they are also testing it this week. I will probably do a deeper dive at some point, but I have now interacted with like 5 people who are involved with the game, both in terms of development and like testing and stuff, and woof. We'll give it a shot when it launches. It's still in development, but I've heard through the grapevine that even people that are working on it at Guerrilla are like, do we have to? Like, it doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of I don't think this is a Highguard situation where they're smoking the copium and they think they have a masterpiece. I'm getting the feeling that they're like, do we have to do? Okay, Herman says we have to, so we have to do it. But okay, like that's the vibe I'm getting. Yeah, kind of like a Redfall situation where the devs are like, they're not delusional. I've heard rumblings that would suggest that they are very aware. You know, very aware, but we'll see. We'll see. There's a new story that just dropped like minutes ago, I think. Should we see it? Yeah, 10:19. So like an hour or two ago. Look at this. New segment. I should probably catch up on super chats before we do this, but Jason Schreier, he posted an article deep dive on his interviews and the behind the scenes of the failure of Highguard. And you know him, he usually has some like interviews with devs. I wonder if he actually got like info about Jeff. I'm interested. We'll check this out just a second. Let me catch up on these super chats and then we'll go. I'll read through Anthony's. Let me put a little heart so I remember where that is, and then we'll keep going, okay? Okay, I read that one. Samuel, I'm listening to stream while driving across California. I gotta be a supportive journalist. A very supportive journalist. Appreciate you, my friend. And drive safe. Saban, thank you for the 10. Are you familiar with the game Rec Room? Laid off 58% of staff this year. I have heard of that. I've not messed with it. It's a virtual reality. This one, a VR MMO. Yeah. Launched in 2016. I have heard of that. It's just, I think it's inevitable. Like the VR stuff is all being abandoned. If you're not familiar, Meta, their whole thing is they are moving away from the VR like headsets, and they're pouring all of their R&D money into those like Meta glasses that are just AR instead of VR. So they'll put a little display on the lens so you can scroll Instagram and stuff like that while out in public without people being able to see it, and it's not as intrusive as a massive headset. So I think that's where all of it's going. And with that, it also means that there's no money left over to spend on VR games. So there's that. The spy glasses, yeah, well, at least the Meta ones, they flash a white light when they're recording, which is nice because other people know like when you're taking a photo or a video or something. But I'm sure that there's got to be brands of glasses where they don't do that. I'm sure you can order some. I don't know which brands those would be, but I'm surely there's brands where it doesn't notify people. But anyway, that's where it's all going. The other reporting is that Apple is like abandoning basically the Vision Pro headset they did, and they're like expediting their own Apple glasses that are going to have a camera and basically be those same Meta Ray-Ban things. So I think that's just where it's all going. That's where it's all going. Let's see. Binland, thank you for the super chat. Jake, you watch Crafton's Dev Diary of Windless? Maybe you meant, did you? I'm not sure which Jake you're referring to, because I do know several. But yes, I have seen the background stuff on Windless, and I'm hoping we can get something going. Maybe even for like New Game Plus or something, we can do a deep dive on that game, because I think it looks awesome. Awesome. But time will tell. Time will tell. We're trying. Hype, not IQ. Maybe thank you for the 5. Luke, if you had to bet on it, what comes first? Herman making a good business decision or Half-Life 3? Half-Life 3. At this point, like, has Herman made any good decisions? Like, all of the good stuff that came out while he was in charge was greenlit before him. Like,
At Caleb's92 donated $20 through Super Chat. I know you can't talk now, but maybe for the review. I want to be excited for Crimson D, but I'm getting the vibe that the writing, story is boring, non-existent. Also the shallow, fake. Everyone is a supermodel.
That turns me off. We can circle on that. I will tell you that I will talk extensively about the writing and story when I put my preview impressions and stuff out. My plan is also, when the embargo lifts, we're going to go live, and I will answer any and all questions, in addition to doing a freakishly extensive deep dive on everything, like a lot, because I can't say anything without getting myself in trouble, but there's just a lot to say. There's a lot to say, you know? There's a lot to say. When does it lift? I believe they've said publicly it lifts on the 4th, I think. So around there, I think that date is right. I'm not sure, but yeah, there's a minute. Gotta wait a minute. Gotta wait. Patience. And then Anthony, thank you for the 5. Hello, Luke. Question: if Microsoft retires the Xbox brand, what happens to Bethesda and all of the studios? Please bring Wolfenstein back. I think they would sell them or spin them off. Like, I don't think they would just can it, because I think they know that at the very least they can get some billions for it. But I think the odds of them spinning it off are or of them shutting it down are very low. Odds of them selling stuff off, I think, are decent. I think they will sell some stuff. But there's interesting little story bits like this. If you don't know, Major Nelson was fired by Unity like a month or two ago, not that long ago. He's like an OG old school Xbox guy. 23 years of leadership at Xbox. If you haven't heard of Major Nelson, you've been living under a rock, okay? He's like OG, okay? And he was apparently invited by Asha to go meet with him, or meet with her, and talk about Xbox and all that stuff. And I'm going to be real. If she's bringing people like him back on board from like the golden age of Xbox, that to me suggests that she's actually going to try to revitalize it. Because there's kind of two options as far as I can tell. Either she's been brought on to be, like some people have suggested, the anesthetist that comes in and gives you the big dose of morphine as you slowly drift into oblivion. Maybe that's what she's here to do. But I feel like she's putting a lot of effort in if her plan is just to kill it, you know? Like, I'm getting my gut's telling me that she actually is coming in and they're going to try to fix it, which I hope is what happens. But I think it's also, we're going to talk about it. She did an interview with Jez Corden, where she talked a lot about it. And it really seems like she was brought in, for one, because she has experience in growing user acquisition and building out brands like she did at Instacart. She's part of the core AI team, so Satya loves her. And she's a fresh perspective. Because I think what Satya's doing is he's looking at Xbox and he's like, clearly, what you've been doing for like 15 years is not working. It is failing. So how do we fix this? Let's get somebody with a totally fresh perspective to come in. I don't want to kill it, but if it's dead in the water, we have to put it under. But hopefully she can find a way to fix it. And I'm sure that's what she's doing now, is she's evaluating all of that, figuring out where it is. But we'll see. We'll see. I think having somebody from the outside, maybe that is exactly what it needs. Maybe that is what it needs, is somebody that doesn't have a lot of preconceived notions of what needs to happen. But time will tell. Time will tell. There it is. Okay. So I caught up with Anthony's message. I will continue reading and I will catch up on all of the others. Thank you guys for those. But I'm going to get to the story first. Otherwise I'll just be reading super chats all day. Stop being so generous. Appreciate you. Okay. New segment for the masses. Hold on to your butts. Highguard's failure will be explored, and we will be sad. There you go. The story behind the failure of Highguard. A brand new article as of like an hour and a half ago from Jason Schreier at Bloomberg. If you don't know, Jason always comes out swinging with his reports, and he gets interviews with devs, he gets interviews with executives and stuff. Like, he gets the dirt, and it seems like that may be what we have here. And it appears that it's a pretty big deep dive on Highguard. I'm interested if he got any sort of info about what actually happened with the Game Awards with Jeff. Like, there's now accusations of meddling, basically, because Jeff has a business relationship through the Game Awards with Tencent, and it was revealed kind of after the fact that Tencent was the primary financial backer of Highguard. So it's like, feels kind of icky that they got preferential treatment at the Game Awards, and they're owned or being funded by that company that also funds a bunch of the Game Awards. You know, it started to feel weird. It started to feel funky. But let's see what he actually had to say. Okay. The sudden collapse of Wildlight Entertainment and its first game, Highguard. Wildlight's demise. On a warm evening this past December in Los Angeles, employees from the video game studio Wildlight Entertainment gathered in a lobby bar of the JW Marriott. They just announced their new game, Highguard, at the Game Awards, hosted inside a theater next door. Now was the time to drink and celebrate. At the same time, a less upbeat story was unfolding on the internet, where the reveal of Highguard was met with a flood of negative comments. Viewers questioned why the Game Awards' final announcement was yet another multiplayer shooter. Some even drew comparisons to Concord, the infamous PlayStation game that flopped so badly it was removed from stores less than 2 weeks after its debut. Which, again, I just have to say, I think it's freaking hilarious that Concord has kind of turned into a slur. It's kind of funny that game was supposed to be the second coming. It was supposed to be their version of Star Wars. You know, Herman wanted it to be their Star Wars as a brand. And now it's like a slur. If a game is revealed and you say Concord 2, that is such a nasty thing to say. There is great weeping, wailing, and gnashing of teeth from game journalists. God forbid IGN hears you say something like that. Oh, they will lose it, dude. It's like not okay. Shortly thereafter, in late January, Highguard launched. Initially, the game attracted a larger audience, but the interest dwindled quickly. And less than 3 weeks later, Wildlight laid off most of its employees. A distressing turn of events for the studio's small, close-knit team of veteran devs, many of whom loved working together and had shipped big hits in the past. So what happened? Over the last 2 weeks, I talked to 10 former Wildlight employees about the game's development, its promising beginnings, and how things went awry. Interesting. The story begins in 2021 when a small group of people who worked for the game developer Respawn, a subsidiary of Electronic Arts Incorporated, decided to quit and start an independent company. They missed the freedom of their pre-EA days. Dusty Welch, co-founder and chief executive officer, told me in an interview last month, which is true. It does seem like they wanted to escape the big corporate overlords, and with EA now being acquired by private equity, it probably was a fair time to be like, let's shake it up. Welch didn't mention another key reason for the exodus. In 2019, they had released Apex Legends, a battle royale shooter in which dozens of players fight across a giant map. The game proved to be a massive success, generating more than $3 billion in revenue. Yet, as sales piled up, some of the creatives who had worked on it felt unhappy that they weren't benefiting enough from the resulting windfall, according to people familiar with what happened, who asked not to be identified, discussing non-public information. So basically, they wanted more money. They felt they weren't making enough money and that EA was taking all of it. This brings me back to what that dev said. Remember, the dev was like, we had a royalty system, and many of us thought this would help us break the, what did he call it? The perpetual millennial financial curse or something. Basically, they, it seems, put in a royalty system. So if Highguard did $3 billion in revenue, everybody who made it would be millionaires. That was at least the idea. Millennial financial curse, something like, okay, yeah. So that makes sense that they felt they didn't get enough money when the game popped off, so they went and tried to make their own studio to do that. The Wildlight founders decided to do things differently. One of their plans was to set up a profit-sharing program so that if the studio did deliver another big success, everyone would benefit. An enticing setup that ultimately helped Welch and his co-founders attract many of their former Respawn colleagues to the new company. This, I think, also... I've described this as like the Tom and Jerry $ eyeballs, where people start to see the potential for making a lot of money, and then they start to think that that's going to happen because they like really, really want that to happen. And that kind of clouds their judgment, you know? The idea that if this pops off, we're millionaires. So thinking seriously and seriously considering that it might be a flop, like that starts to get iffy. People don't like to think about that. Armed with significant amount of funding from Tencent Holdings Limited, Wildlight began hiring employees and making plans for its first game. The founders knew they wanted to make another multiplayer shooter, but they hoped to avoid the crowded battle royale market. So instead, they looked to Rust, a survival game in which players can raid enemy bases and build their own. They began constructing levels and designing mechanics for what was envisioned as a survival-focused shooter, where I'm sure you break crystals and that doesn't just sound super stupid, which is what it kind of ended up feeling like a little bit, I'm going to be honest. But okay, that's what they're doing. 2 years into development, the team realized that the design wasn't working, in part because of the amount of freedom conflicted with their goals for a highly competitive play, according to people familiar with the events. Also, the scope was too big. Still, some parts were salvageable. The base raiding aspect of the survival game, in particular, seemed to be worth keeping. In January of 2024, the team pivoted to what would become Highguard, a raid shooter that streamlined many of the survival aspects into a faster, more competitive game. This is making sense because I thought that it didn't, like, I didn't know how you would start sitting down at a table or standing at a whiteboard being like, what game are we going to make? I don't know how you would do that from scratch and end up at Highguard, because it seemed to have so many weird little systems. And this makes sense because it's like, oh, they were making a like survival game where you raid bases and build your own base. And then they salvaged pieces and put it into this new game. Or like, what kind of live service game can we make with these pieces? And that's how you get Highguard. That makes a lot more sense. Okay, this is tracking. Over the next 2 years, the Wildlight crew played around with various ideas and player compositions, such as 4 teams of 3 players each, before landing on the 3v3 matches as the foundation of the game. They aimed to release Highguard in early 2026 and expanded it over time as a live service game, addressing feedback along the way. Sure. I still don't understand the 3v3 thing. Everyone I've spoken to who tried Highguard with 3v3 and 5v5 thought 5v5 was way, way better. I don't know why they thought 3v3 was the solution, because everybody outside of that initial bubble thought it needed more players. Many of Wildlight's developers were itching to subsequently develop a single-player story set in the world they'd created. Such a move would follow in the footsteps of their former company, which had released the multiplayer-only Titanfall, before eventually graduating to Titanfall 2, which included both multiplayer and a highly regarded single-player campaign. They hoped Highguard would be a foundation for grander ambitions to come. In the year leading up to launch, Wildlight tested out Highguard extensively, both among its own staff and external players. They worked closely with members of Tencent's TiMi Studio Group. This is the one that just was shut down, or at least one of the TiMi studios, because that we just talked about it like Monday. Shut down. Yeah, it was the Montreal studio, because this was the studio that was headed up by Ashraf Ismail. So I guess the TiMi Studio Group is bigger than just that one studio. I think TiMi Group publishes a number of mobile games. So they work on Call of Duty Mobile, and they work on Delta Force as well. So those guys helped with it. This is a separate TiMi Group. Okay, TiMi Group, whatever the fudge, I don't know. But okay. They worked closely with that group. Although they tried to keep that secret. Why? I think I know why. Because they wanted to frame it as an indie game. They didn't want to frame it as like backed by a massive corporation. When I asked last month, Welch would not say who funded the game, and Tencent employees who worked on it are not mentioned in the game's credits. See, it feels slimy, especially because it was framed as an indie studio, the little guys coming and swinging at the big guys, you know, when that's not what it was. It's not what it was. And the fact that he was refusing to say who backed it, and also who was helping them make it, that to me shows like it was a calculated thing. If I tell people that Tencent backs this, it's going to be seen as another AAA live service game, which people will hate. But if I say that it's an indie team, they might be willing to give it more of a chance and not root for its downfall. Did Jeff know? Maybe he'll say, I don't know. It's possible Jeff didn't know or just didn't care, but I don't know. Both Tencent and Welch declined to comment for this story, which I think is telling. Reactions from testers were mostly positive, but there have been blind spots in the process, or may have been blind spots in the process. According to people familiar with the testing, Highguard was a complicated game to learn and was more fun when using voice chat to communicate with other players. When they tested it with microphones off, it made for a much worse experience, former Wildlight employees said. Having developers on hand to answer questions and explain mechanics also led to different conditions than players would ultimately face when the game released into the wild. This is exactly what seems to have happened with that preview event, where the people that went to the event generally liked what they saw. They had a good time. The problem is most people who play a live service game are not sitting at a row of computers with devs to walk them through how the game works, or I can't figure out these controls. What do I need to do to break the wall? Oh, it's L3 and R3 together. Thank you. Most players don't have that. When they boot it up, they're just in the game figuring it out. And so you cannot, like when you go to these events, and I'm very cognizant of this, or at least I try to be, you have to remember that most gamers are going to boot this up knowing way less than you do going in. They're not going to have a piece of paper that shows what the controls are. They're just going to grab the controller and try to figure it out. And most of them are going to skip past the little tutorial prompts, ignore it, and then get frustrated they don't know the controls. That's how a lot of this stuff happens. And I think that this was one of those situations where players or the studio and the people that were experiencing it in these controlled conditions had very different experiences than the people and like the average player. And it ended up leading to two very different experiences. One solution may have been to open the game up to the outside world to start building a community and garnering feedback from a wider audience, a process that helped other multiplayer games such as Arc Raiders and Battlefield 6 find success. But whenever that notion came up at Wildlight, leadership nixed it. They wanted to recreate what had worked with Apex Legends, which had been kept secret until it was announced and launched at the same time. So they were just married to this idea of redoing Apex Legends. And they refused to consider any alternative approach. This is like the piece that's frustrating to me, is that you look at the unicorn and then the studio is like, yeah, we'll just do that. It's a unicorn, okay? Or like it's a 1 in a million success story. Like Fortnite. Nobody thought Fortnite would blow up into what Fortnite is today when it launched as like a sort of survival game with some light building and stuff. Nobody thought Fortnite would become what it is today. Nobody thought that like Mr. Beast would become the biggest YouTuber in the world by when you look at the videos from back in the day when he's like, I'm just going to count to 100,000 on stream and not stop until I get to 100,000. Nobody thought that guy was going to be like king of online media. Nobody thought that, okay? Like it was a fun gimmick or thing, but it ended up exploding and being very successful. But this happens all the time where a company or individuals will look at the exception to the rule and go, well, we'll just do that. It's not that simple. It's just not. With Apex Legends, yes, it was kind of lightning in a bottle. They got very, very lucky and the game was really, really good. And it was backed by a massive corporation that was willing to commit to it. Everything, like all the stars aligned to make Apex Legends successful. And it also like ignores the fact that that was in 2019. Like that's just, it was years ago. 2026, the live service world is very, very different than it was in 2019. And acting like you can launch games the same way 7 years later, I think that's just short-sighted, personally. That's what I think. Yeah, nobody thought Luke would one day eat 100 candles in an hour. Nobody thought that. They should have. They should have seen that coming. They should have asked, like, can Luke do that? And said, yes. Yes, we candle. And it wouldn't have been a question, but yeah, some people doubt me. As a result, Highguard built the wrong kind of buzz. Last year, when the Game Awards orchestrator Jeff Keighley visited the studio to check out the game, he liked it enough to feature it at his show. But in the 7 weeks between December and the announcement or the December announcement and the January 26th launch, Wildlight stayed quiet, even as gamers online speculated about whether the game might be delayed or canceled. Employees of Wildlight were encouraged to stay off social media where the negativity was amassing. Wildlight leaders hoped that the game would speak for itself, which honestly, and I'll give them this did work at generating a lot of buzz. Because yes, there was a ton of negativity. People being like, the trailer's bad. What is this game? Why was it the last thing showcased? Is it actually a masterpiece? Like, what are we missing? We're missing a piece of the puzzle. And that created curiosity. There was a lot of negativity for sure. And there's some channels where, you know, no matter what, they're going to be negative and hate everything. But I think that curiosity actually helped it. And I think that's backed up by the fact that the game peaked at almost 100,000 players on Steam. Like, people tried it. People were curious what this game was and were willing to give it a shot. They just didn't think it was good enough to stick around, you know? So I do think that this actually worked for them, just going radio silent, leaving all these question marks for people. I think that did work, at least as far as like generating interest is concerned. But anyway, people who worked at Wildlight described the studio as healthy, collaborative, transparent environment that made many of them love working there, at least until the final 2 months. Fair. I can imagine it wasn't that fun the last 2 months. At that point, they said morale began to tank, and there were no straight answers about what success would look like, leading staff to grumble that they may be approaching things the wrong way. Is that negativity? Is that negativity? I think that's negativity. You gotta be more positive, or you're fired. I need smiles. Smile right now. Smile, figure it out. When Highguard came out on January 26th, the player count was an impressive number, peaking at nearly 100,000 concurrents on PC, Steam, with similar numbers across PlayStation and Xbox, apparently. So, you know, a few 100,000 players. Very, very respectable. A lot of games from brand new studios, indie studios, dare I say, would kill for that level of player base. That's crazy. But early impressions proved negative. And because the game was free to play, it only generated revenue from in-game payments that would require players to stick around. Also, the thing with free to play games is it's much easier to choose when you haven't paid anything. When I download a game for free, I play around, and if there's matchmaking issues, if it's stuttery, if I don't have fun in that first 15 minutes, the odds of me just going, let's go back to something I like, skyrocket instantaneously, right? If I have to spend $40 up front, there's a barrier to entry, but that also means there's a bit of a barrier to exit, because I'm like, I mean, I'm gonna have to file the thing requesting a refund on Steam. You know, forget about console, because if you put money up, you're just screwed on console. It's on Steam, at least you can refund it. But you know, there's also a barrier to exit as well as a barrier to entry when you put money up. And being free to play means you get more initial players, but it has to be so good that they stick around long enough to do that. The other piece of live service, like free to play games, is that nobody wants to spend money on a dying horse. Or put money on a dying horse. I don't know if there's a saying that works there, but nobody wants to spend money on a game that's probably gonna go defunct in a month. Like, let's be honest. If I know the odds of Highguard being around in a year are like 1%, why would I spend $50 on skins? Why would I spend hundreds of dollars on skins? I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't normally anyways, but if you're thinking like a whale, like one of these guys that spends stupid money on microtransactions, I don't think even they would want to spend money on something that's probably not going to exist in a year, you know? I just don't think that would happen. Reviewers criticized a number of elements, including the large map sizes and tedious mechanics such as mining, many of which were vestiges of earlier versions of Highguard, specifically when it was like a Rust knockoff. But I agree. I mean, that always felt weird. It's like, okay, match started. Go use your pickaxe with a little mini game to get crystals to spend on stuff. Like, that will always be less interesting than actually exploring a map and finding something. Give me an interesting chest somewhere that's in like a nook or a cranny somewhere that I've got to jump and maybe parkour my way up to, knowing how to like move the character properly, use abilities to get up there. Do something like that that's way more interesting to get level ups and improved loot. Doing a mini game to mine something is just like the most boring way of doing it. You know, it's like the worst way I can think of doing it. Critics also pointed out that the game was so complicated that it was much less fun if you were playing with strangers and the mics weren't on, a problem that Wildlight might have identified earlier by letting the public try out the game before release. Yeah, it's almost like that's important. In the days that followed, Highguard's biggest problem became player retention, a challenge that Wildlight's management emphasized to the staff multiple times. A week after the game's launch, they lost roughly 90% of their players, which was a scary number. A hastily released 5v5 mode was praised, but didn't bring people back. I tried it. I thought it was better. But like I said in my initial impressions video, I need them to do like an arena. Like if they had an arena mode, so basically, you know, a totally different game, I'd be down. Because Apex doesn't have arenas anymore. But that, I mean, they just weren't able to do that. 5v5 was way better than 3v3. I have no clue why they launched 3v3. But yeah, I mean, at that point, it's kind of too little too late. People had already kind of decided to move on. Still, Wildlight staff were under the impression that they had enough financial runway to keep working on the game and addressing issues for at least the next few months. But at an all-hands meeting on February 11th, just 2 weeks after the game's release, the company told its employees that the studio was out of money and most of their 100-person team would be laid off. They would stay employees for another week and then receive a small severance. During the meeting, management said that Tencent had pulled the studio's funding. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? I said, honestly, Tencent backing them makes a lot of sense, because if they know something is a sinking ship, they're not spending another penny. So the moment that they thought Highguard, the odds of this being successful just plummeted, they pulled their money. Like, they don't give a crap. Like, they don't care. This is exactly what I thought it was. So, you know, I told you so. They pulled the studio's funding, according to people familiar with the events. Although the company didn't spell it out, staff were left with the impression that their financing was contingent upon hitting certain metrics, such as retention rate, which they had failed to come even close to achieving. Yeah, I mean, makes sense. Makes sense. When asked what they thought went wrong, several employees, several former Wildlight developers, used the term hubris, a belief by the company's leadership that they could emulate what had worked in the past with Apex Legends, no matter how much the gaming landscape had changed since then. After all, they'd made one of the last decade's biggest hits. Today, less than 20 people remain at Wildlight. They are continuing to update Highguard with the hope of salvaging the game and bringing players back, although it may be an uphill battle. On Thursday, the game's Steam concurrence had fallen below 600. That is the end of the article. I think hubris is accurate. And that hubris, arrogance, that's something we saw across the board, not just with the studio, but also with the media covering it. This like cocky, holier than thou. What really pissed me off was like the contempt that was exhibited, where it was these people acting as though gamers need to suck it up and play the game because it's free. Stop complaining and play it. You know, yeah, but you didn't like the trailer, but stop being so judgy. Even though that's like literally the point of a trailer is for you to judge a game. Delusion also works. Yeah. I would agree. Hubris, I think, is like it's a type of delusion, you know, where it's like, in my view, arrogance and confidence are like two sides of the same coin, but confidence is earned. So if you're truly confident because like you're a pilot, you know, flying 747s and you have 10,000 hours of experience, you are confident you can fly that plane. Zero question in your mind because it's been earned. But somebody who's really arrogant and cocky in my mind would be the guy that like has flown Microsoft Flight Simulator for a few hours and it's like, I could land that for sure. You know, when it's like, nope, don't think you could. I think you're being a little stupid, you know. I see one person said, I blame Jeff. I personally, like, I think Jeff, I've gone back and forth on this because on the one hand, yeah, we can say like, this is Jeff's fault. It's Jeff. But honestly, I think the reason they hit 97,000 concurrents on Steam was because of Jeff, was because of the placement at the show. Yes, there was a whole lot of discourse around the game that was mostly negative, or at the very least, it wasn't positive. Most of the discourse I saw were people just going, what is this game? Like, why is it being treated the way it is? Why is the media defending it so much? There was just confusion, question marks all over it. But I think all of that discourse started with Jeff putting the game there. I think if the devs had actually gotten, specifically the leadership of the studio, had gotten their wish and they had shadow dropped it, which has been reported that that was their plan. If they weren't at the Game Awards, they were going to just shadow drop it on January 26th. I think that would have been a disaster. Like, I think that their peak would have been like 4,000 players, because I don't think anybody cared or would have cared if you had been like, hey, there's a new trailer that just dropped on IGN for a new live service game that nobody can explain what it is. I don't think that does more than like 5,000 players, like for sure, right? So I think that it wouldn't have gone anywhere and the player counts would have plummeted just as quickly and it would have been the same story, but there wouldn't have been eyeballs on it. The fact that they started with 100,000, I think, is because of Jeff. And yeah, him being kind of cocky about it and being like, I'll accept your apologies in 48 hours. That, I think, put even more eyeballs on it. But I think ultimately, like when you weigh the positives and negatives, it probably helped the game because it got it in front of way more people than would have played it if it were just shadow dropped out of nowhere. Because, like, let's be completely honest, if they had shadow dropped it on January 26th, it would have been just like bloop, and that's it. Like, I don't think anybody would have been checking it out. Maybe they would have still done a preview event where they invited a bunch of people. But even then, like, I don't think that that magically changes the equation or anything. I just think that Jeff ultimately helped them, even if there were memes and jokes involved. But I think this story was going to end this way no matter what. Because ultimately, it's not about the Game Awards spot. It's not about the trailer. It comes down to the game. If the game is really, really good, it would have popped off. If they had shadow dropped Titanfall 3 in all but name, you know, it's basically a spiritual successor to Titanfall, I think that game would have popped off and would have done amazingly well. Even if the negativity from the trailer was bad, it would have popped off and it would have done really well. The problem was the game just wasn't very good. It just wasn't very good. So don't blame Jeff, blame Tencent. Well, Tencent, I mean, they have more money than God. Like, the Catholic Church is jealous of Tencent, dude, for real. And Tencent throwing, I don't know how much they spent on this, like, but even if they spent 50 million on it, that's like a literal drop in the bucket. That is like a rounding error for Tencent. So they do not care. Like for them, they're like, oh, you didn't hit the target. Okay, never mind. Pulled your funding. You're fired. That's it. Like they don't care. They don't care. For them, this was just like, you know, the random little bets you toss out. You're like, hey, it's like a 1 in 1,000 shot that it ends up blowing up and being $1 billion franchise. But if we got into it with equity for only like pennies for us, why wouldn't we try that? And then, you know, it just failed. And so they pulled the funding and they're going to go move on. They're going to do it with 15 other games. You know, let's go do a bunch of the other ones. So, anyway, it's the influence of Tencent, not the money. Like Tencent's influence over Jeff helped it. I think that ultimately, and I'm not sure if we'll ever know, just to be honest. I think the insinuation, what you're bringing up is like, would they have gotten the spot at the Game Awards if it were not backed by Tencent? Like if Tencent were not involved with the Game Awards and weren't back in this game, would it have gotten that slot? My feeling is that Tencent touches everything, like literally every studio. They own a little chunk of it. They own like everything. So I don't see anything. Like I think to me the easier explanation is that Jeff just honestly thought the game was going to be Apex Legends 2. I think he honestly thought it was going to be that good, which is why even after that initial wave, once the negativity started, he doubled down and tripled down. Like I think that's what happened, is that he just honestly thought it was really good. And then when it came out, nobody else liked it. He's like, oh, okay. But anyway, let me catch up on super chats real quick. Thank you guys for these. The German, thank you for the 10. Hey Luke, do you have any plans to do more videos in the style of your retrospective breakdowns? For example, the videos you did on Uncharted. Those videos were absolutely golden. Possibly. The thing with those is that like the games I found most interesting, I largely went back to and made videos on. So, and you know, there's only so many games in the catalog for me to go back and do retrospectives that I feel are interesting and worth delving into. But I do think that there's an opportunity to go back and revisit some games. I did that with The Witcher 3, for example, where I wasn't happy with the critiques and stuff I did of that game like 10 years ago. So I redid that at the beginning of 2025. I went back and redid the like analysis and critique of The Witcher 3, and it gave me an excuse to replay it. And maybe I'll do that for like Red Dead 2 again or Breath of the Wild again. It's just when inspiration strikes, you know. When inspiration strikes, I'll do it. But we will I'm always keeping the door open. It just has to make sense, and I have to feel like I have something to add to the conversation, you know, that hasn't already been said either in a previous video from me or whatever. Kyle, thank you for the 5. When you get the chance, there's a Steam game called Fun with Ragdolls Plus. The trailer is low-key epic. It's not out yet. Oh, is that the game? I think I might have seen a trailer for this because I think Jake might have posted it. Fun with Ragdolls Plus. It's a 3D physics platformer with cinematic story and sandbox chaos. Follow Dummy, Danny, and Ricky's journey through a world built on challenges, humor, and the darker truth beneath it all. Okay. Interesting. So you build like little challenge rooms?
Making them instant doesn't mean they're wrong. Well, it clearly wasn't the right one.
Steam glitched. It's cute. It's like an actual narrative game. Interesting. Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. I will keep that tab open and I will send it to the New Game Plus crew. Maybe we check that out. That could be cool. Thank you for the suggestion. That's cool. It's a good time. Caleb, thank you for the 20 again. That was very generous of you. Thank you for that. Joshua, thank you for the 10. I'm trying not to be too hyped for Crimson Desert, but it's not working. I really, really want to know if it's going to run on my base PS5. Did you find out? Will it be in your breakdown? Again, I can't say anything. All I can say is that what I said before the event too, which is that going there, I intended to ask questions about performance on PC, PS5, PS5 Pro, all of that stuff. So you can expect that I asked those questions and I will be able to talk about what I heard. But I can't, unfortunately, can't say more than that. I'm sorry to be so vague, but that's how events work. I can't say anything until I'm allowed to. You would love Annie Austin's new video by KCD1. The level of detail is insane. I'm about to jump into this franchise head first. One of you guys sent it to me. Maybe it was you over on the Discord. And yeah, if we have time, I might circle back to it. I very well might. Very well might. Unijack, thank you for that. Yes, thank you for that 5. Luke, how do you create the backlit effect on yourself? Is it a normal room light or like a full-on stage light? Love your streams. Do I have one that's easy to grab? No, they're all mounted. If I unenhance, you can actually see, because this camera is slightly cropped in. That is the actual light right above me. So that's how I get the hair lighter. They call it a catch light as well. But that is there. You can also see on that top row, the top shelf, all of the 3D printed minis and stuff I have. But yes, it's an actual light. And basically they're called Amaran lights. These things. These are the ones I use. These are kind of overkill. These are like stupid pricey. That's not the ones I use. Just lights. The ones I use are like 100Ds. I'll just pull this up to show you. But they basically look like these. There's a few different variations. With these lights, all you need to know is that the 100 is basically how bright it gets. It's how many watts it is. The X, if it's X, it means you can change the color temperature. If it's a D, it just means daylight. So it's just going to be daylight color temp, which is like, what is it? 4,700 Kelvin, I think. So you can choose whichever one you want to use. But all of the lights I use in the studio space are Amaran lights. So those are the ones I recommend. Then you can get little like different attachments and stuff for them to be able to specifically like target the light if you need it. You can even buy like little spotlights if you really want to target the light. You just attach this to the light and then it turns it into a spotlight. So there's tons of options for it. But yeah, that's what I use. That's what I use for sure. Kyle, thank you for the 10. Major Nelson, that just hit me with crazy nostalgia. He used to have these this week / update on Xbox videos, right? I remember seeing his videos. Okay, like the latest Xbox on like the latest Xbox software updates. Yeah, dude, he used to be a major figure and then he left. He worked at Unity for a bit, but I mean, he just had a meeting with the new CEO, which is kind of crazy. So it really makes me think that they might be trying to get back to the golden age if they're talking to people like him. If she was just there to kill it, I don't know why she would be visibly and publicly meeting with people like that if they're just about to put it under, you know. It seems like a lot of needless suffering and hype. Skirban, thank you for the 5. Yet another example of wanting to make make a successful game, not a good or fun one. Well, and that's why I talk about the Tom and Jerry $ eyeballs. Like they got so hyped up at the idea of becoming rich and just redoing Apex Legends that they lost sight of what's important, which is how do we make a game people want to play? It's kind of a crucial consideration, you would think, but that apparently, like when you hear these discussions, it doesn't come up. It doesn't come up. We really question what players would enjoy. We started making a Rust survival game and then that wasn't working. So we just decided to pivot and then reuse some of those pieces. And it's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What part of the golden age? I think they're just looking at going back to the 360 era. When they had games, they had a fandom, they had a rabid fandom even, and they were giving Sony a run for their money. And I think we've seen with Sony's behavior this generation what happens when Sony feels complicit. when they feel like they can take some of these risks with live service stuff that nobody wants, because who's going to come and steal market share by having better like exclusives or better games? Like nobody, you know, because there basically is not competition because everything's an Xbox now. So like I think it's going to be really healthy for PlayStation and for gaming more generally if there's actually some competition. But that even brings up like I'm not sure they're going to get rid of cross-platform stuff. I don't think they will, but I think that they might go more the PlayStation route where they do like a year of exclusivity and then bring it over. That could work, but we'll see. We'll see. They need to decide before the Elder Scrolls 6. That is the next big one. I think that they have. Fable could do it too, but they already committed to bringing it to PlayStation. But yeah, I think they've got to decide by Elder Scrolls 6 which way they're going to go, which they should be able to do. Yeah. Let me see. Luke, did you see you were featured in Mr. Church's latest video? Hope you and chat have a great day. Keep up the great content, sir. No, I did not. I did not. But thank you for that. Thank you for that. But no, I did not know that. You said in the latest video? Is it because we talked about the Fallout 76 stuff? That's funny. That's funny. Oh yeah, he looked at it. Yeah. Oh, that could be fun. Reactception. We just watch the reaction to my reaction of it. That's funny. Let's see. Let me finish catching up on these. Davin, thank you for the 5. Highguard is trash compared to Fragpunk and Deadlock. They don't have half the attention. Yeah, well, I mean, it goes to show you it's not always... Unfortunately, there's even still some good live service games that still flop. You know, because it's just so competitive and there's only so many players. It takes me back again to the Sean Layden clip where he's like, how many successful live service games can there be? The answer is obviously not 20. That's obvious to him, not to all of these guys that are making these decisions nowadays. You know, like it's wild. It's wild. Let's see. CB Bread, thank you for the 5. Did you ever play Forgotten Anne? Saw people with new demo Forgotlings. I am not familiar with those. I'm pulling them up in additional tabs and I will check them out. Okay, my friend? Okay, my friend, I will pull those up in additional tabs. Thank you for the suggestions. Forgotten Anne and the Forgotlings. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just not familiar with them, so I don't really have much to say, but I pulled them up in additional tabs so I can check them out. Thank you for letting me know. Scotty doesn't know. Thank you for 14 months. Oh, baby. What's your top 3 most anticipated game this year? I haven't played anything in months, and I'm thinking Crimson Desert will be the one to get me back. Yeah, I would say probably Crimson Desert. Of course, you got to say GTA 6. And probably Fable. Those jump out to me immediately. There's going to be others that are also great, I'm sure, but those are the ones that immediately pop off. I would have said like Black Flag remake / AC Hexe, but who knows if that stuff ever launches at this point. I mean, I'm hopeful, fingers crossed, but dude, yeah, I don't know. I think the Black Flag remake, if they do it right, could be huge, but we'll see. Fable's gonna flop. I think if you think Fable's gonna flop, you're a flop. Like, bro, I don't think so. I think that game is probably going to be pretty big. I think that's going to be pretty big. Intergalactic Pirate Radio, thank you for the 10. I know you probably don't keep up with fighting games much, but dude, Virtua Fighter 6 is looking friggin' wild. I'm glad that there's some competition coming in. People are excited about it because I know like the latest Mortal Kombat disappointed a lot of people. I've heard conflicting things about Street Fighter. Some people love the direction they've taken it. Some people hate it. And then that other one just got shut down like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. So I hope that it happens. Yeah, great comeback, Luke. Yeah, this looks like it's gonna flop. No, you're a flop. Your mom's a flop. Got him. Got him. I said Amaranth lights and everybody's saying Amaranth lights. Those are different. Those are different. I was about to make a really bad joke. I'm not going to say that. Anyway, sorry. I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. Nope. Nope. Nice try. Nice try. On myself. The final Kraken. Thank you for the 5. Hello, Luke. Did you see that Radical Games, the studio behind Prototype, is back? Kind of. I did not see they were back, kind of. But I will pull up the name of the studio and I will look it up, because if they are making a comeback, that's awesome. I wish them the best. They just relaunched their website under the new name New Radical. And they might be doing a Prototype remaster. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Okay, well, that's one to keep an eye on. They might be doing something. Okay. Okay. Pinkie Pie, thank you for the 10. Hello, Luke. Hey, Luke. I came across you a couple years ago and have been hooked on pretty much everything you put out. As life has gotten harder, you've made it easier. Thank you, Luke. Hugs and kisses. Thank you, my friend. That's too kind of you. Very sweet. And I'm glad I could entertain you at least a little bit. You know what? You're a flop, too. You're a flop in my book. Now I've got you guys guessing. Is flop good or bad? Who knows? Who knows? Got to keep them guessing. Got to keep them guessing. Appreciate you, my friend. Glad to have you here. Joker Quinn, thank you for the gifted to someone. It doesn't tell me who got it, unfortunately, but whoever got it, welcome. Glad to have you. Timothy, thank you for the 2. Will you be, by chance, doing a video on Echoes of the End? That one. Let me make sure it's the one I think it is. Oh yeah, this one from like a year ago, or it was like 6 months ago or something. We were gonna do a video on it, and it just never came together for various reasons. We had some other stuff and obligations that kind of complicated it because we were traveling during that time, which always makes things tricky. But I have not made a video on it before, but who knows? Never say never, right? Never say never. Looks like it's got good reviews and stuff. That's good to see. Good to see. Good to see. Let's see. Brushborn Studios. Thank you for the 5. Start KCD this weekend or wait for Crimson Desert. Kind of depends on what kind of player you are. Because my recommendation would be to play through it nonstop, get to the end, rock and roll, and go straight into the second game. That would be my recommendation. But that's realistically for the average person, like a months-long endeavor. So I don't know. That's tricky. Because I would say, like, if you start playing the first one, you should go straight through the second one as well. But that's going to take you more than whatever. I guess you have like 3 weeks before Crimson Desert, don't you? So you could probably do it. You could do it. You could do it. I believe in you. You can do it. I believe in you. Just rocket it out. You can do it. Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Officially. Germ, thank you for the 5. What do you think the next Resident Evil remake is gonna be? You think Code Veronica? Or maybe straight to 5? I know this is coy, but I have a feeling. No, I shouldn't answer that. My answer is informed by Requiem. And I don't think I can say anything without potentially getting the gears turning and you thinking about what a spoiler might be. So I don't want to risk it. Okay. Yeah. So deal with it. Or is it? It's like, no, the series is over. They're like, at the very end, they're like, nothing else, we're done. They're like, yeah, well, this whole thing has kind of run its course. People forget that Resident Evil Requiem started as a live service game, which is really funny, but like they actually considered that. They actually considered it. yeah, if you're not familiar, the game's director mentioned that it had started as an open world multiplayer game. And yeah, during development, Capcom learned their lesson, dialing back on action blockbuster multi-character adventure that put the series in hot water over a decade ago, when returning to horror themes with the series did so well. Yeah, things like an online Resident Evil or open world Resident Evil, which we spent some time experimenting with. This is like allegedly a look at what it could have looked like. Some like leaked multiplayer footage. I don't think it's even leaked. I think this is from one of their interviews that they did. But they experimented with it. They were considering going multiplayer with it, and then they decided not to. Thank God. But yeah, they were like actually considering that at one point. So I'm hoping they keep that lesson learned and don't screw with it again. Like, for the love of God. For the love of God, don't. Yeah. You want a Crimson Desert special dedicated stream? You never know. Yeah, Twitch isn't working. I tried to turn on Twitch and it won't accept data, which is odd. We're not banned or anything. It's just it's glitching. It won't accept data from Twitch. It might be a Restream IO problem, but yeah, I don't know. Do you think GTA 6 will have a performance mode? I think you're going to get GTA 6. You're going to boot it. And you're going to be thankful. I don't think there's going to be hardly any customization. I think that thing is going to be holding on by a thread to run locked. So I don't think that, like, they're going to be pushing that to its absolute limits. So I don't think they're going to offer like any sort of tweaks or nothing, which personally I'm okay with, as long as it's rock solid locked at whatever the frame rate is. But yeah, I'm personally expecting it's gonna be like 30 FPS with some light motion blur to smooth it out, and I think it'll be solid at 30. But I don't think that there's gonna be any other tweaks or bells and whistles. I think the PS5 Pro will run it at higher resolutions, but I don't think even that will run it at 60. So, yeah. Luke, should I play Requiem on PC or PlayStation? Both ports are fantastic. They're both fantastic. So, honestly, it literally is just a matter of preference. It's not a situation where it's like, it runs great on PC, but terrible on PS5. It's not like that. It runs great everywhere that I've seen or heard, but yeah. Let's see. Where did I leave off? Okay, with that one. Ed Boy, thank you for the 10. Gave Marathon Service Time 2 hours of my day, and I think my biggest takeaway is that I really just want to play Arc Raiders instead. Interesting. I'm really curious how the next like couple days go, if more and more people start to move over and try it and they're like, ooh, this is good, or if they just end up sticking with Arc Raiders. I'm genuinely not sure. I think a lot of people are going to try it. I don't know if they'll stick around, but I do think a lot of people will try it. There's a lot of curiosity. With it. Okay, with that one. Just got off work, rushing home to play Marathon, and Jesus, this is why my reading problems get me into trouble. You said just got off work, rushing home to play Marathon with my brother-in-law. I almost read it out loud as rushing home to play with Marathon and with my brother-in-law, which changes the meaning a little bit. Do whatever you need to do. Family is family. But yeah, I almost got in trouble there. So yeah, going home to try Marathon. I'm excited to hear what everybody thinks after you've tried it. I'm excited. Pawkill, thank you for, or Pollock, thank you for, sorry, I can't read. We've established that. Thank you for 3 months. Hey, Luke, are you going to do Crimson Desert play on stream? Haven't seen play through on, or a playthrough stream on your channel. We'll do it occasionally for big games where we'll boot up and play. A lot of it is tricky because like if I'm doing a review of something, of course I'm playing it off stream. No, he said brother-in-law. They're not related that way, so that makes it okay, right? Brother-in-law, it's not by blood. Nothing's written in stone. You know? Sorry. Got distracted. But I possibly. I do think we'll do sessions where we try it for sure. I think we will. But Step Bro, what are you doing? How dare you? But yeah, we will play it. I don't know if we'll do a full playthrough because my intention is to review it, and that means playing it off stream early to get you guys a review whenever reviews go up. But who knows? Maybe they won't send review codes. You never know. They don't owe me anything. Who knows? Almost caught up, guys, and then we'll talk about AC. New pirate game called Windrose looks promising. Yes, we have pulled that up a few times. I'm hoping to get some info from them and do like a deep dive or something. That could be cool. You guys know me in pirate games. Woolen Snail, thank you for the 5. I'm super excited for Wolverine, but worried it'll be short. If it's kind of linear, I don't think it'll be long, but maybe a Miles Morales situation. I'm hopeful for Wolverine. But I think the best thing to look at is probably like what I'm expecting is sort of maybe even shorter than Spider-Man 2. And like part of that is because I think that's just where they've been headed, is that it's high production value. Their games are stupid expensive to make. And so their games are getting shorter to balance that out. So I'm expecting it to be like 8 to 10 hours. Maybe it ends up being longer. If it is, that's awesome. But I'm expecting like 8 to 10 hours. If it's more than that, I'll be thrilled. I'm also... No, I can't say that. I can't say that. There were some things that leaked in the Insomniac leaks that I think people are not aware of that will also... I'll shut up. There's just... It's going to be an interesting game to watch. For sure. Nothing written in stone. Hieroglyphs. Am I a joke to you? Just a picture of a hieroglyph just going. Oh my god. Okay, almost there. CZM, thank you for the super chat. Hey Luke, I'm on vacation in Kyoto. It's 4:40 a.m. here, and I'm chilling in my hotel room. Pre-ordered Resident Evil 9 prior to leaving, trying to avoid spoilers, but looking forward to it when I get home. That's awesome to hear, my friend, and I'm glad that you are having a good time in Kyoto. That's awesome. I've always wanted to visit Japan. Maybe one day I'll get the chance. Fingers crossed, but hopefully you're having a good time, my friend. And yeah, good on you trying to steer clear of spoilers. RE9 leaked bad like a week before launch. There were people playing it on Kick, like the entire game, just playing through it. I don't know how that happened, but it did. Like it was kind of insane. But it seems like a lot of people have been able to dodge spoilers, which is good. It's very good. Okay. Let me almost there, guys. Thank you. Swervin' Dude, thank you for the 5. Hey Luke, check out Tainted Grail, Fall of Avalon, Dark Tale of King with King Arthur mythology. It's in the vein of Skyrim or other Bethesda games. I've played Tainted Grail actually, and I was very pleased with it. It's a vibe. It's really good on like handheld gaming too. Like it's a good lay in bed game, you know? It's really good for that. It's a vibe. It's just chill. Okay. How's Fergus doing these days? Oh, he's great. You know, he guards the castle, guards the play button, ensures everybody is protected and safe. He stands where no one else can to watch over the kingdom, and we owe him a great debt for sure. GPF, thank you for the 2. I watched the movie 310 to Yuma. Huge RDR2 vibes. I've not seen it, but I've heard people mention that. Buttery Cheeks, thank you for the 5. What a name. Hey Luke, did you hear about Sony moving away from putting their single player games on PC? It was hinted at by Jason Schreier and Digital Foundry. I did not hear that. I guess I would have to see what the hint is, because I did not hear that. So, yeah, I don't really have anything to add to that, but I will have to check it out. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. If you have a source or like a news outlet that reported on it, let me know and we can check it out. And then Hype Not IQ, thank you for the 5 as well. Luke tiptoeing around Insomniac League difficulty level Mary Jane segment. I see what you did there. I see what you did there. I know what you're doing. I see what you're doing. That was clever. That was clever. Okay. They've started to level out. It peaked at 143. Now it's at 140,000. Still an insane number. We'll see how quickly it changes or shifts, but we'll see. Look up what he said. It's a big story. What Jason said. Hold on. Oh, hold up. Let me see. Oh, wait. Okay. So I see Kiwi Talks referenced it. Jason Schreier. Does anybody know an outlet that like covered it or did something with it? Okay. So this looks like a reference. Okay. I mean, it's not speculation, but sometimes topics come up on the show before I'm quite ready to publish a story about them. More to come soon, I'm sure. Thanks for listening to Triple Click. This week's episode was a lot of fun. And that was in reference. Okay. Okay, people need to remember license something somewhere doesn't necessarily mean you have to. Okay, so basically, like, he's suggesting that they may walk that back and start to focus more on consoles specifically. The original full thing, let me just play it. Can I play the snippet? Is it timestamped? No. Jason, I mean, I think for them, okay, I should lead into this. Okay. New sort of segment thing. So you guys are telling me in YouTube chat, it looks like specifically this was brought up by Buttery Cheeks with a very generous $5 super chat. Brought up, did you hear about Sony moving away from putting their single player games on PC? It was hinted at by Jason Schreier and Digital Foundry. And we looked it up, and then there's this little snippet from their show Triple Click, where it's discussing what's next for Xbox and Phil Spencer retiring and all that. But this original bit clips some of the discourse. Jason, of course, a very well-known leaker, works at Bloomberg, knows his stuff. I mean, I think for them, their strategy is like live service games are coming to PC, but I think the sense I'm getting is that they're backing away from putting their exclusive console stuff, like traditional single-player stuff, on PC. Kirk said, really? You think they could close that door and start to say never mind to Ghost of Tsushima 3 is only going to be on PlayStation? And Jason said, I do. And I mean, even if they don't, we are seeing Wolverine coming in September 15th, and that's not coming to PC. It's coming to PlayStation 5 only. You don't think it'll come to PC? Jason said, I wouldn't be surprised if it never came to PC. But even if it does, you have a strong idea of what that is and that you need a PlayStation to play it at least for the indefinite future. Kirk said, right, I'm just observing a strategic similarity in the way that PlayStation is now releasing The Last of Us Part 2. These big PlayStation exclusives are being put on PC, and in seeing the grumbling amongst PlayStation fans saying, Jason said, yeah, I think that's going to stop is what I'm saying. Right, exactly. So that would be interesting if it did stop. They'd be moving towards that console strategy direction. Yeah, and I don't know. I'm not sure how super successful those PC releases were. Kirk says, it seems like trying to put something back in a bottle or turn back the clock. That doesn't seem like it would work to me. Oh, taking it back and stopping that? Well, it's like they never did it day and day, so the PC releases were always kind of late to the party. And I don't think it was that successful in the first place. So I don't know. it doesn't seem like it's going to be that big of a blow. Kirk, you mean sales wise successful? Or he said, yeah, like commercially successful. Yeah, I mean, that's the big question. But yeah, to me, it's very possible that they put that genie back in the bottle because it seemed like they were always kind of dipping their toe in the water, like half entering the pool in the first place with staggered releases. And then John from Digital Foundry said something similar.
What do you think, John? Do you think there is actually, I mean, if they're going to fully embrace PC, they've got to fully embrace PC, and that means a lot of things that I don't think they want to do. For example, day and date releases.
Yep. I have an inkling that they're pulling away from PC. We'll watch this space, but I can't help, based on some of the decisions and the way things have been going lately, I get the feeling that under the current leadership that PC has become less important. One might argue that the Jim Ryan era, the one positive thing to come out of it is this shift to PC, but I'm not confident that they have like a huge vision for PC going forward. Not to say that we won't still see some PC games happening, but I think it's not going to become more PC focused. I think if anything, it's going to become less. And we'll see. I mean, maybe that's not the case at all, and this is the reason I don't think that they would ever consider like saying like a PC launcher, like going bigger on PC at the expense of console. I think console is where they want to be. I think, I mean, they've continued to succeed in that area despite themselves, I would argue, with some of the decisions this generation. But also, man, yeah, there's just, it's hard to say. I mean, we really can't predict the future on this stuff, obviously. It's just, I feel like Nintendo and Sony are really just going to stick to their guns for now. And I think Microsoft's Xbox situation, just the nature of Xbox and the fact that they're so big on PC anyway, it makes more sense there. You know, if you own Windows, why not focus on it? Make it better though too, but still, you know what I mean? Whereas for Sony, I mean, I would like to think they're smart enough now to know that, yeah, doing a launcher like this would be like the worst possible idea ever. They would not, it would kill whatever PC focus they have.
Interesting. And then, of course, Jason Schreier followed that up saying, I mean, it's not speculation, but sometimes topics come up on the show before I'm quite ready to publish a story on them. So I don't know. That's interesting. Hiroki Totoki, the CEO, said, let's see. Toki then addressed the topic of first-party games and made it clear that he feels releasing them multi-platform, which he seemed to clarify meaning as PC, continues to be the way forward. Quote, in the past, we wanted to popularize consoles, and first-party titles' main purpose was to make the console popular. This is true, but there's a synergy to it. So if you have strong first-party content, not only on our console, but also other platforms like computers, first-party games can be grown with multi-platform, and that can help operating profit to improve. So that's another one we want to proactively work on. I do think that this is from like a year and a half ago, if I recall. That's from a while back, and their suggestion is that this is a changing strategy. Here's what I think. Okay, right now, PlayStation dominates the console space because Xbox has largely stopped like directly competing. If a game launches on Xbox, it means, okay, well, it's going to launch on PlayStation 5 as well, either very shortly after, like with Forza, or day and date, like with Fable. So they're not really competing as a separate entity. So if you're on PlayStation, you can just play the games there anyways. So PlayStation is definitely king of that hill. On PC, they are not the kings of that hill. Sony's, or Steam rather, is the king of that hill. And I don't think there is a way that they will ever be able to like truly get out from under that. Like, I think their ideal situation is that they have their own launcher. And by having their own launcher, they now don't have to spend 30% giving that to Steam for every game that they put out, right? Like, if they release something, they don't have to stress about it, you know? But it's just very, very interesting that, you know, they've played with it. I think it makes sense with live service games where the number of players is like the operative thing. But In this case, it seems like it's also very much that they're trying to figure out for the next generation, which angle do they want to take? Do they want to take the go everywhere approach, or do they want to double down on what they're good at and what there's no real competition with, which is console, where they keep 100% of the revenue that comes through for their first party stuff and they get a 30% cut of everything else. And you pair that with Xbox's approach, which is to go more PC with the next gen, so they could truly differentiate themselves if they were to go back and focus just on the console side of things. Zubitech just tagged me in this. Sneakers said, we're talking about games in the future. I understand if folks are disappointed with the output on this front, but there are loads of changes happening now that we'll see increasingly over the next 3 to 4 years that are more in line with what folks preferred from them. That isn't to say live service titles are done and dusted by the way. Nate Drake also backed it up and said Sony is shifting their PC strategy. Absolutely. And that was in response to this. Them removing the revenue beyond console from the strategically emphasized indicators in God of War Sons of Sparta, not releasing on other platforms despite it clearly being so-called experimental game like Lego Horizon, and credible insiders like Nate Drake stating that it was considered for a multi-platform release initially could indicate a strategy shift when it comes to PC ports, at least for single-player games. A large player base is too important for live service titles. Yeah. I would not be... I think what's happening now as we rev up to the next gen, as with every generation, there's sort of a beat that happens where all of the executives get together and they figure out what's the next angle. Like, what is the vision for next gen? What's our strategy broadly going to be? With the Xbox One, famously, it was all TV. Bit of an oopsie on that one. Dude, the hair is crazy today. With the Xbox One, it was all about TV. We're going to build a cable box that also plays games. That was their approach. With the Kinect, of course. Because you all have Wiis, don't you? Don't you want a Wii where you don't hold the controller and it's worse in every way? That was kind of their approach. And dude, for real, what is happening? I swear this isn't a wig. But anyway, like that was their big push on that side of things. For Sony, they had an easy mandate when it came to the PS4. All they had to do was not be Xbox. Like that's literally all they had to do. Just whatever they're doing, don't do it. Do the opposites. Like Xbox is trying to go and do always online. Don't do that. Xbox wants to make it so you can't resell your games. Easy. Don't do that. Xbox is priced super high. Well, don't do that. Price it lower. Like really, really straight. Luke forgot to iron his wig. Exactly. But I used the wrong one. Yeah, I used the badger instead of the human hair. So it's possible that right now Sony is going through those motions and is evaluating what's their angle for next gen. And they have that option of continuing the Jim Ryan route, pushing live service at the cost of everything else, or they can go back to what was kind of tried and true and hopefully learn from some of those mistakes. Because again, the faulty premise of everything that Jim Ryan did was, I remember talking about this in like 2021. He said, we spend this much on single player games through the PS4 era every year. We're going to spend that much for the PS5 generation. So if we just say that this is like, PS4 versus PS5, he's like, we're going to do that, but then we're also going to spend double that also on live service. So you're going to get twice the games, just some of them will be live service and some of them will be single player. But you'll get the same number of single player games as you did before. It's just you'll also now get live service spinoffs. That was wrong. That was very wrong. It is demonstrable that Sony's output has plummeted because in reality, this isn't what happened. This is what happened. It cannibalized a lot of the time, the resources of those studios. And so it's not this dramatic. I mean, it's maybe like a 20% dip or 30% dip, but it did eat into the single player like development time, resources. And we've seen that with like Naughty Dog spending 4 years or 4 to 5 years on a live service game that ends up being canceled. It's like, what are we doing? Or all of the other things like Blue Point, wasting the entire generation on a God of War live service game that goes nowhere and then is canceled and they're shut down. Like, so many examples of this throughout their portfolio of things that could have happened in the single player space that didn't happen because of the live service push instead, right? You know, setting aside even other companies where the same thing happened, where they thought the same thing, where they thought, like Rocksteady, we can just use them to make a live service game. It's not that simple. So it could be that they're just reevaluating it and going, you know what, the PS4 gen worked fantastically well. Yes, we didn't have the unicorn that made $5 billion like a Fortnite, but we were making billions from our single player games that were really focused and well managed, well designed, and properly scoped. And maybe we just like figure that out again and get back on the horse there. I think that would be a much better strategy. Now, seeing them double down on console is interesting, especially when it comes to like expanding exclusives, because I think also if Sony's looking at it and they're like, our next decade is hopefully defined by the PlayStation 6. What do we know is going on right now? A lot of people are moving to PC because you can play all of the games eventually anyways, when everything's coming there regardless. And like PC gaming ends up being cheaper in the long run. I know that might be shocking to people, but especially with like Steam sales, the ability to refund things, it ends up being cheaper than console gaming, where things go on sale much, like they go on sale regularly, but not anywhere near as deeply as you get on Steam and other PC platforms, like when you factor in GOG, Green Man Gaming, and those places. So it's possible that Sony is just like, let's just double down. And if we start making things more exclusive again, that justifies people investing in our ecosystem once again. And that can help us compete against PC more broadly when people are making their next gen purchases. Because I think that's what's going to happen is circa 2028-ish is when people are going to have that moment of, which way do I go? Do I buy an Xbox? Do I buy a PC? Or do I buy a PlayStation 6? And they want to give you every reason to buy a PlayStation 6. But right now, it's like you could do that, or you could just get a PC, play all of those games eventually anyways, and everything else, not pay for online, and you have access to Steam, refunds on all that, like lots of reasons to question the purchase, you know? Kiwi Talks mentioned this. With Sony pulling back on exclusives for PC, it's good to understand why Sean Layden pushed for their games to be put on PC in the first place. My theory on why they are doing this, though, is because, number one, there are games on PC, their games on PC weren't really moving the needle and selling that much, nor were they creating FOMO for people to buy a PlayStation or play the sequels. This was also kind of the idea, was that it was either leaving money on the table, that there were people on PC who wanted to play God of War, but couldn't because they weren't going to buy a PlayStation. So by putting the game over there, you get their money, and they were never going to come over to PlayStation. So you benefit from that. And then the other side of that is maybe there are people who, when they try The Last of Us Part 1, go, oh my God, this is awesome. I'm going to go buy a PlayStation 5 so I can play The Last of Us Part 2 because it hasn't come to PC yet, hypothetically in this scenario. That might not have happened that much. I think most PC players just stayed on PC, you know. 2, they don't want Xbox's new hardware to be able to play their games through the loophole of Steam, which would be funny if that's what it is, if they're that like petty. Because if the new Xbox is basically just a PC running Windows 11 gaming mode or whatever, it would technically allow you to play like God of War Ragnarok on Steam through the Xbox. I can't imagine they actually care about that, but maybe they do. Maybe it's like a point of pride that they don't want that logo to ever pop up on an Xbox hardware. I don't know. Sony is very petty. That's like next level though, dude. That's crazy if that's what they actually think. Number 3, Nintendo is closing the gap with Switch 2 and seems to have somewhat alleviated their biggest weakness, third-party support, which makes them having exclusives even more important. I think the Switch 2 as a threat is much more pressing, personally, because the Switch 2, like I've seen the clips of some of these games. Let's see, here it is, of people playing like Resident Evil Requiem on Switch 2. And it's like outrageously impressive that this is running on a Switch. Like, are you kidding me? What? Like, the Switch 2 is able to push that? Are you kidding me? And that's been the age-old problem for Nintendo, is that their stuff is so weak, it doesn't get anywhere close. This shot is on a Switch 2. What? Like, are you kidding me? It's crazy. It's crazy. And I think that changes the math, because if people have always been, again, we got to get out of our bubble of like hardcore gamers. You got to remember that the average person, the millions and millions of units sold, that's from the more casual side, right? That's from the people that are going into Best Buy or Walmart right before Christmas, and it's a dad panicking because he forgot to get his kids a present. And he's like, I got to figure out what the family gift is going to be. And he's looking at the shelf of gaming consoles and stuff, and he sees the Switch 2 next to the PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 5 Pro or PlayStation 6 or whatever it's going to be. And he's got to pick one. The biggest albatross around the Switch's neck has always been the performance is going to be way less than what you get on the other platforms, which is still technically true. It's a small handheld device, but bro, if it's able to push this out, that equation changes. Same thing, like other games like AC Shadows got a major overhaul as well. Like, let me show you this update from like 8 days ago, where like they're showing the difference in reflections. This was the previous version. This is what they got it working at through the latest updates and stuff. Like, we're talking about current gen massive open world games that are very tough to run, just period. And now they're able to run these games in like pretty impressive levels. Like, is it the ideal way to play? No, that's always going to be PC or like, you know, the more expensive hardware. But this is still wildly impressive for a Nintendo console. That's outrageous. That's outrageous. And I think for the average gamer, they see this and then they're like, I can also get Mario Kart. I can also get whatever the next Zelda is. I can also get Mario, whatever the next one is. Donkey Kong Bonanza. That becomes a much more compelling argument all of a sudden, you know? That becomes much more compelling. So the Switch 2 factor, I think, makes a lot more sense to me than like fears of playing their games through Steam. And then number 4, releasing elsewhere disincentivizes people from buying a PlayStation, so that's less sales within their ecosystem, which is true. It's less sales within their ecosystem. Yes, you do get a sale elsewhere, but the math of a 30% cut from Steam is nasty work. It's nasty work. And you got to also remember that for franchises like Marvel stuff, Spider-Man, Wolverine, Sony is losing like 20 to 30% probably on every copy sold straight to Marvel for the rights. And then you're talking about Steam taking another 30%. It starts to make sense why these games struggle to be profitable, you know? And so, but you know, if it launches on their platform, they keep all of it. They keep all of it. This is the clip he linked with Sean Layden.
Did that?
Again, the former guy, head honcho at PlayStation, led the PS4 through its golden age. This is what Sean had to say.
Kind of play into the strategy of moving to PC, like to create FOMO. So, because it was your idea, right? You're the one that pushed for PlayStation.
A lot of people
games.
had the idea, but yes, it's on my watch where I decided we're going to do this thing.
Right. Was there an initial pushback?
Oh yeah, a lot of pushback. I mean, there was a time back in PlayStation 1 where we had a game called Jet Moto and a game called Warhawk, and the studios wanted to publish them on PC. And at the time, Kutaragi-san rightly felt that Sony Creative Entertainment would not be in the PC publishing business. So I actually had to spin that off into another group in order to publish into the PC market, which wasn't really big back then in the late 90s. So it didn't really have a lot of impact, and most people don't remember that happened. But laterally, the reason why I thought we should go onto PC, and again, after a year, once a game's in the market,
Initial release.
because once a game's in the market for a year, you can look at the decay rate.
Yeah.
It's not going to cannibalize sales. It's already sold to your console market that wants it. PC was not to make money, not to really generate FOMO so much as it was, I just want to introduce to people who are not in the PlayStation camp, these are the things we're doing. Check it out. It could be cool. My view was that the PC market wasn't going to come to PlayStation on its own. And for us to tell them the story of what our games are, we have to meet them where they are. And if you're on your PC, I will meet you where you are. Not on day one, on day 366, but it was more of a chance just to get IP and the brand out there to an audience which normally we don't have a chance to talk to.
That makes sense. But I imagine when GTA 6 releases, there will be PC players that do have FOMO and will probably end up buying a PS5 just to play it. So,
yes, there are some titles that can actually change weather patterns.
yes.
And Grand Theft Auto is a franchise that can change weather patterns. Yeah.
It's a very good interview. You should go watch the whole thing. Sub to Kiwi Talks. He does good work. But yeah, I think it's GTA 6 always is just special. But I think that all of this also, you got to remember that we're not talking about instantaneous timelines. We're talking about long term. Okay, so when we're talking about like the effects of bringing your games to PC, that will have an impact, like splash effect, where people are like, oh, so they're changing their strategy. What does that mean? But it's more about what that does to the ecosystem 5 years down the line. Once people have gotten used to the idea that I could buy a PS6 or I could just buy a PC and all those games are going to come anyways. Because I think for a lot of average gamers, that is a very compelling offer. I get it. There's people entrenched in the console, and for them, the idea of leaving that console is anathema. It's a scary foreign thought. And for some people, that's just not something they'll entertain. But I think there's a lot of people, especially younger gamers out there, who would consider that. And think about the next generation, literally. Think about the modern audience, right? The kids that are growing up, like my youngest siblings, who are growing up, growing out of Roblox, thank God, and growing out of Fortnite. And they're looking, where's my next gaming home? Where do I go? They don't have an established library. They don't have library on PlayStation or Xbox or anything. They don't have any of that. And so they're starting from scratch. And for a lot of those people, I think the options, a PC versus a console becomes very interesting and more intriguing. Historically, the price difference has been what's saved the console market. That doesn't seem to be happening anymore. Now, you could also say that of the PC market. The PC market, it all depends on like how frugal you're willing to get. If you're willing to buy like a gaming laptop instead of a big gaming desktop, that can save you money because just the scale that they're working on makes it more doable. But yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting to see how this plays out, because I do think for a lot of people, and I know anecdotally multiple people in my family and friend group who have said that they were trying to figure out what their next gaming purchase is going to be, and they're choosing to get like a gaming laptop or something because they're like, yeah, all that stuff I'm going to get access to anyways, so why not? So it's going to be really, really interesting to see how this plays out. But if multiple people with like actual strong track records are saying that they've either heard rumblings or that it makes sense to them that they could be seriously reevaluating their PC strategy, that could actually mean that they are. I will say, I thought them not bringing Sons of Sparta to PC was weird. I just assumed they'd be bringing it to PC because that's what they've been doing. And it was not. It was exclusive to PS5, which is different, which suggests that maybe something also changed, but we'll see. Not a single exclusive game is going to make me buy a console because there is no sale like a Steam sale, and that's a big factor. Buying games for 20 to 30 bucks or euros is cheap. It's hard to go back. Once you're used to that, baby, oh man, you get spoiled on Steam. I remember we talked about it on stream one day where I was like, yeah, Steam sales are just different, man. And dude, there was one PlayStation fanboy that was so triggered. He sent like 5 screenshots from his console being like, look at all these sales. All of this is on sale right now. And it's all like the standard PlayStation sale stuff where it's like 10% off of these things. That's cool. And it's like, bro, until you have tasted the sweet forbidden nectar of the gods that is the Steam summer sale or winter sale or fall sale, dude, it is the sweetest, Sweet treat. It'll change you. It'll change you. Open your heart to Gabe. Open your heart to Gabe. He'll bring you in. Looks kind of like Santa Claus, so it's fine. You know, it's something else, man. It's just hard to explain to people if they've not seen it. And with regional prices and the refunds, dude, the refunds are a massive deal. I've speculated, and I don't have any evidence of it. It's just a gut feeling that I do think for some of these publishers, there's a consideration of like, should we go to PC on like Steam, or do we try and oh my god, I just totally my brain just fried, dude. I saw a post of Jason Schreier, and the picture, I just totally lost my train of thought. That was so weird. That never happens to me. That's crazy. My brain just fried. The Steam refunds. Yeah, I've speculated for a long time that there are publishers who choose not to go to Steam because they're afraid people will refund their games en masse. And Steam, allegedly, my understanding is they keep their cut. So if you buy a game for $10, you refund it. Steam keeps their cut, their 30% cut or whatever. But the person still needs their full $10 back. So the $3 is just lost from the publisher, from the studio. They just eat that. That's my understanding. Because Steam is like, we did our part of the job. We sold the game. We managed the refund for you. So we have to pay our expenses. So we did what we're supposed to do. You were supposed to make a game people don't return. Which is fair. But that's a big deal, I think, for consumers. And I know for me, there's moments where I'm like, do I want to try this? I don't know. The reviews are kind of so-and-so. But I can always refund it within 2 hours. Okay, I'll go for it. You know, why not? Eric, thank you for the 10. Very generous. I love Steam sales, but they have increased my backlog past my life expectancy. Oh, well, dude, you're telling me. I have hundreds and hundreds of games in my library. It's a problem. It's a problem. It's bad. It's real bad. Somebody send help. Somebody send help. Okay. I read those. Charlie S22, thank you for the membership. Drawn Out YouTube became a member as well. Very generous of you. Thank you, my friend, and good to see you here. It's always nice to see a friend of the channel and a very talented creator show up as well. That's very nice of you. Sandro, thank you for the 6. Luke, quick one, as I only have 15 minutes before I jump off. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Oh, you should still be here. I have 2 minutes before it's been 15 minutes since this message. Heard Imagine Dragons launched a game studio with their PvP CTF game Last Flag. I did see that they did that. I've not tried it or investigated much, but I did see that they're like, I think it's their singer is an owner of a game studio or something, I think is what it is. But I did see that story. I've not tried it though, so maybe it's really good. And I'm missing out. Let's see. Muzzle, thank you for the 12. Very generous. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for Pokemon Day and the 30th anniversary showcase we're getting tomorrow? 6, 7. Unsubscribe. I don't know, man. I've never been that into Pokemon. I was raised being taught it was demonic, so
At Chapter 8,
I missed out.
2639 donated $20 through Super Chat. Speaking of disappointing Sony decisions, when Horizon Hunters Gathering flops, what's the over-under that their interpretation will be that gamers don't want a third single-player mainline game?
No, I will say I have had the privilege of speaking to a number of people very familiar with the game in varying degrees, including people that like work there or have worked on it. And I think they all are aware.
Keep it up. Not sure if it's been mentioned on the channel, but just wanted to shout out a game called Far Far West from the Steam Next Fest. It is well worth keeping an eye on.
Yes, Far Far West. We actually Far Far West. We actually covered this in New Game Plus. If you guys remember this, the New Game Plus showcase, we actually covered this game as part of our showcase back in January. So yeah, I recommend people check it out. It's fun. It's like Sea of Thieves, 4-player co-op. It seems like a good time. Seems like a good time. And then, but yeah, going back, chapter, right. Thank you for that very generous 20. Yeah, I've heard through the grapevine that, that even people within the studio are not thrilled that they're working on that. Even people within the studio are like, really? Really? Is this what we're doing? Is this really? We have to do this? Okay. I get the feeling that, like, this is the anti-High Guard. High Guard, they thought their farts didn't stink. They thought it was like the finest wine. This, I think that they know this is not what their fans want. They know that their fan base is kind of peeved about it. Like, they know. I don't think it's a mystery to them. So I think, you know, if this fails, they're going to be like, okay, sweet. Back to Horizon. Do Horizon 3. I think that's ultimately what a lot of people are thinking. Because I think they know that they're not going anywhere. Sony's not going to shut them down, especially with Herman in charge. No, never. But I do think that there's people within that studio who are hoping they can just get it over with and get to Horizon 3. It's my understanding, at least. Yeah, that's my understanding. Not a single exclusive is going to be made by a console. Oh, I did read that one. Thank you again, the Amir. Steam has kept me on PC, I assume. Many others, as much as I'm desperate to play Death Stranding 2 one day. Actually, soon. When does it come to PC? I think, didn't they announce it? I think they did. By the way, don't tell Steam I'm buying my games in Turkey, says Amir. I won't tell if you don't. We'll keep it secret, just between us. We'll keep it a secret. We have EA, Xbox, and Ubisoft stores, but Steam sales. Exactly. Well, and all of them gave up on their launchers, you know. Oh, right. It's the same day as Crimson Desert. That's right. I remember seeing the date, be like, why? Why would they do that? But yeah, okay, that rings a bell. Rings a bell. Okay, let me blast through these stories real quick. Just before we get too distracted. That's funny. I'll talk about that one day. I get emails about stuff, and sometimes it's like, are you serious right now? Are you serious? It's a whole thing. Okay, real quick, Mason, thank you for that 10. Hey, Luke, just jumped on the live stream and not sure if this has been mentioned, but the High Guard subreddit has completely devolved into just a bunch of random memes and little about the game. Can you blame them? I mean, there's not a lot to talk about. That feels sad. That's a little sad, but it's like when I found out on stream that there was a Starfield no salt or no sodium is what they called it subreddit. So it's literally the Starfield subreddit was considered to be like too negative. So they pivoted, made a like separate subreddit that's Starfield no sodium. And it's all about like being positive about the game and everything. And that's the one that Todd mentioned, like reading and following up on, which is really funny. But yeah, that's just funny. That's funny. Anyway. Okay. Let me circle on this real quick. Just real quick. So Warner Brothers Discovery are talking about their turnaround, allegedly, of the company. This is something they've been working on for years. They've kind of run it into the ground, but they're promising that they are on the up and up, and it's all about to hit a stride. Okay, so they talk in this about like the Discovery Global spinoff has been slated to take on a big chunk of the $33 billion in long-term debt that now sits on their balance sheet. Weidenfels asserted that the spinoff would emerge with a 3.3 debt to earnings ratio, which he called absolutely sustainable and supportable. Basically, they're restructuring everything because they have so much freaking debt and not a whole lot of money coming in. They've really been struggling. But one of the things that they mentioned was this at the very, very end. Okay. This little bit. As for Warner Brothers gaming business, Perret acknowledged that, quote, 2025 was a year of reset. 2024 was kind of too with Suicide Squad, but that's a whole other thing. After the division got distracted, going after too many IPs with too broad a set of studios, end quote. This year, Warner Brothers Discovery is slated to release a new Lego Batman game and a Game of Thrones themed mobile game dubbed Dragonfire. The Lego Batman game does look fire. Perret hinted at bigger things to come next year. He said, quote, "The real fruits will start coming in 2027 and 28 when we return to some of our biggest franchises," he said. Perret didn't specify any titles, but it's likely he was referencing the push for the studio to release Hogwarts Legacy game sequel that will coincide with the debut of the HBO Harry Potter series, which is almost certainly what this is referring to. Now, this is backed up by some discovery that some other people have dug up, which is interesting. Okay, very, very interesting. Specifically with timelines and something spotted by Expecto Go. Okay, something spotted. Let me read this real quick. Kyle, thank you for the 10. Hey Luke, I am military today. I had a coworker take his life, and I wanted to say thank you for making the rest of my day a little easier. You are one of the best. Keep doing things. Oh my goodness, my friend. Yes, I'll be honest, I'm not sure what I can say in a moment like this other than please accept my condolences and best wishes to the family and everything. But hopefully we can make your day a little bit brighter, and then you can spend time with your friends and family and loved ones that always make things better, you know, always make things better. So make sure, don't be alone. You know, when I'm done yapping about stuff, go hang out with some friends, some family, because that always makes things better. Okay. Best wishes, my friend. Keep your chin up. Much love to you and yours, and to everybody out there for sure. Much love. I will try to distract you with this stuff, my friend. Thank you. With this, yeah, thank you. I'm just waiting for my wife to get off work. Smart man. The missus will always make it better. The missus will always make it better. Let's see. Where was I? Shifting gears. Distraction mode activate. Entertain people so they don't feel sadness. Here we go. So what am I referring to when it comes to leaks and something spotted that was interesting? Well, this has been clipped by a number of sources, but Expecto Go was the first one to actually find it, and I want to give him his flowers for this. If you don't recognize Expecto Go, covered Hogwarts Legacy a ton back in 2023. He was actually one of the fans that they invited out to like do one of those preview videos they did. Big fan, and has been following the development of the sequel pretty closely. He made a video back in December because he, like I, have been following the job postings. Basically, a little bit of espionage, some stuff you can do is you can sign up for job postings even if you're not actively looking for a job. But it means that you get emails about the job postings and the people that they're hiring, which can tell you a lot. For example, that's how I started to spot, and other people like Expecto Go started to spot, that they were actually hiring people to work on Harry Potter with experience in like multiplayer games and live service games. And it's not super clear what exactly is happening. I think that there's a few different angles this could go. And if Expecto Go wants to come on stream and fill me in if he knows more, I would love to have him on, because my understanding is that they are likely working with two teams, but it's not super clear right now what is happening. Okay. There's a few possible outcomes. Okay. And don't get devastated yet. Okay. Keep your chin up. Bear with me while I explain this, okay? Because I don't think it's as clear cut as like Hogwarts Legacy 2, the multiplayer game. My understanding is they have two teams, okay? We'll call it T1 and T2, okay? This is a single player focused team, the team that made Hogwarts Legacy. This is a multiplayer team that they've largely assembled from scratch after the success of Hogwarts Legacy. They are working, no doubt, on things. But we don't know how this is broken up. It could be that these are two totally separate games. Okay? Where this is Hogwarts Legacy 2 and that this is Hogwarts Living. It's an MMO set in the world of Harry Potter. It could be that they're two totally separate games. What I suspect is that they may be trying to rather do a sort of GTA Online thing where they have the single player story that is still single player. It's the open world, all of that stuff. But then they have a separate mode, just like GTA Online, where you can load into the same world that they've built. And then you can play with your friends. And it's an MMO where you can like go and attend classes. And each season for the game is a literal season in real life, where it's like the fall semester in the fall. And so, you know, the weather actively changes throughout the year as you attend classes and stuff. And, you know, to level up your potions, you have to actually attend potions class. Kind of like Bully. Yeah, that's my suspicion. Allegedly. Okay, allegedly. Thank you for the 36 months, formerly known as Spec Ops Labs. Good to see you, my friend. Figured I'd clean up my act with my share company. Keep all the hype, Luke. Thank you, my friend. And I'm glad to see that. Let me see. It's specifically Craft Red. Okay, so I gotta remember that, because Twitch has that thing where you can put nicknames for people, so you can, like, even after the name changes, you can set it to what it is. YouTube doesn't have that, so I just have to remember, like, that profile picture and name is actually Spec Ops. But okay, I see. I'm tracking. Thank you for being here, my friend. 3 years. That's crazy. It's crazy. Also, Cesium, thank you for the membership. Thank you. So this, I think, very well could be what they're doing, is that it's actually much more of a GTA Online situation where you get the best of both worlds. You get the online mode that is separate and doesn't affect the single player mode. They get their live service money over here. They get those 35 million units sold over here from the single player game. That at least is what I suspect. It could be a totally separate project, meaning it's a separate game entirely. It's a separate, like, it's not considered to be a sequel or part of it. It could be something just totally different. We just don't know. But they have been hiring multiplayer teams. Now, there's that. That's one aspect of this. But what did Expecto Go find back in December? Well, he noticed a job posting that was very, very interesting. Cinnabread, thank you for the membership. And then Spec Ops, see, I remembered, with the 10 gifted memberships. Get your booties over to the Discord, my friends. Join us over there, for there are memes and joy to be had. Joy and memes. Get your booty over there. Enjoy yourself. Thank you for those gifted, my friend. That's very generous. Appreciate you so much. Thank you. And good to see you again. How to Discord? Do ! Discord in chat. It'll give you little instructions. Okay, this is what Expecto found.
When? I say the earliest is 2026 we could see this trailer. I say the earliest is 2026. And again, going off that timeline I stated with Naughty Dog and just when we're getting this. And also keep in mind, we talked about it earlier, the Harry Potter TV show, HBO series is airing in 2027. Thanks to WB, back in 2024, I think, or 2025, they confirmed that the TV series will be linked to the sequel narratively in some way, shape, or form.
Which I don't know how that's going to work, but they did say that. They said that the story of the show will connect to the sequel to Hogwarts Legacy. I don't know how that works. Do they mean literally it's because Harry Potter's in the show and we'll reference Harry Potter? I don't know if that's how it works. Hogwarts Legacy is a prequel by a good bit to Harry Potter. So I don't know what that means. Does that mean we're fast forwarding in time? Does that mean that they're going to have references to things the player does in the story? I don't know. It could mean 1,000 things. Because we also don't know if the sequel is going to have the same character from the last game. It very well could not. It could be now that they move forward and we explore Hogwarts, but circa like World War II. I don't even know what the hell that would be like. Like, why don't you guys go and assassinate Hitler with Avada Kedavra or something? That sounds hard. It gets kind of tricky when you try to mix the magic world and the real world. And we're busy right now. We have this game we play on brooms. Like it could get tricky if you did that. Maybe not World War II, but maybe they go and do something with like, maybe they do it at the same time and you see Harry Potter walking around. Yeah, that's Muggle business. Exactly. We're pacifists, frankly. You guys figure that out. We're busy. Yeah, maybe don't go to World War II. That's one. I don't think there's a clearly established lore for that. Yeah. But that is something they've said, is that it will tie together narratively. And what that tells me is that there's going to be something, like they're going to be in proximity, I think. Right? Like if the game is connected to the show launches next year, probably in the fall. Like surely they'll have the game out close to that, you would think, right? Like if the show launches and the game comes out a year later, that would surprise me. So I think it'd be in the same range. And when we're talking about a trailer, a specific like announcement for Hogwarts Legacy 2 or whatever it is, that's what he's referring to and what he's going to get to with what he discovered. The Hogwarts Legacy first trailer, I think, was 2021 or 2020. It was around there, but it was like a solid 2 years before the game launched, which would mean right about now is when we could see that trailer if it was coming in late 2027. Very, very easily.
So I know there's going to be some closeness in regards to release dates for both the Harry Potter TV show and Hogwarts Legacy 2. The TV show we know is coming out in 2027. Hogwarts Legacy 2, I think the earliest it could come out is late 2027 around holiday. Definitely 2028, which would put it at the 5-year mark.
It put it at the 5-year mark, and that puts it right at the cusp of next gen, meaning they can then do what they did with Hogwarts Legacy, where they do a cross-generational thing. They do an update for the PS6 and for whatever the Xbox is, and they can just do those upgrades and double dip on revenue and stuff with upgrades and stuff. But what he also spotted was that Avalanche Software hired in December, or was looking to hire, a video capture artist. Now, you don't need a video capture artist unless you have something to capture and a reason to capture it. Which to me suggests the trailer could be much closer. Because how long does it honestly take you to make a trailer? You know, like if you get hired and you get that job, you go, you capture some stuff, you cut it together with some music that they provide you. Like I can't imagine it's that crazy complicated. I've made lots of videos. I've made fake trailers. I've done all that stuff just for the fun of it. So I imagine if you're working professionally and you're doing 40 hours a week, you could pump that thing out pretty quickly. You think? I would think. Maybe they're doing capture for internal assets. Maybe they're doing the thing where like they capture abilities to put as tutorials. You know, some games will do that where it's like press triangle 3 times and then they show in like a little picture in picture the video of you doing it. Maybe that's what it is. But yeah, I do think it makes sense for them to have a trailer soon, targeting a release date around the time of the show launching, because their hope is people start watching the show are like, oh my God, I forgot how much I love Harry Potter. And they go and buy the game. And then there's an online mode that they can spend billions of dollars in, and Warner Brothers just rides it all the way to the bank. That's what they're hoping for. What I'm hoping for, my desire, is that I was gonna say like my lusting, but that feels weird. My desire for this is that they do not just do the live service like, oh, you liked Hogwarts Legacy for being single player? Cool. This one's multiplayer. Like, I hope it's not that. Just bad everywhere. I hope that's not what it is. I hope that they actually remember and retain and appreciate what made that game special, which was that it was so not Warner Brothers. Like, again, the fact that we got Hogwarts Legacy, then less than a year later, in the same fiscal year, they launched it was the next fiscal year. They launched Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which was like the embodiment of everything wrong with corporate gaming. It was insane. Like, it was actually outrageous. And to go from like the highest high to the lowest low, literally. I mean, they, in their earnings call describing Suicide Squad's failure, they had to say, it's exacerbated like in our books because you see this massive gap last year to this year. They basically said it's not normally that big of a gap because normally we aren't doing that well. It's because we had Hogwarts Legacy last year and then this did so badly. Normally it would be like this gap, but it's just this gap because we had Hogwarts Legacy last year. It was massive. It was huge. It was huge. The best-selling game of the year outsold Call of Duty, which is ridiculous. And they have the chance to do that again. I was describing this to a couple of my Muggle friends that are not, like, they play games, but they're not playing a new AAA game every month. You know, they pick and choose their battles very specifically. They might play a new game every 6 months, maybe like 1 or 2 a year. And I was describing to them the idea of a like Harry Potter game, an MMO where you can play with your friends and go to classes. Progression is long-term. It's tied to actually attending school and classes. The seasons change with the semesters changing. You can actually join the house that you belong to. And then there's a big meta game where you're actively trying to complete challenges and things for your house to earn points for the house cup. And maybe if you win the house cup, you get exclusive cosmetics and stuff. There's like, the game kind of designs itself once you start spitballing it, you know, because I think it just makes sense. And those people, dude, those Muggle friends of mine, it is anecdotal, but bro, they were like so into it. Like they were like, when is this coming? Like, I need that. And I think that will be in effect 10 times over when it reaches the masses. So I think they have something, you know, on their hands here if they can do it. But I hope that the single player game doesn't suffer as a result. And of course that it's not over monetized, because I think they know what they have and they know that this could be massive. And then there's a temptation for sure to overstep at that point. But Warner Brothers is confident they are making a comeback, that this HBO show will be fantastic and will pop off. And they are hopeful for sure that it continues and that they can nail it properly. But time will tell. Time will tell, my friends. But I will say, I never count out the fandom of Harry Potter. It is something else. Like, you're talking about 30-year-old men and women who still tie their personality to that in a very real and profound way. So, you know, never doubt it. Never doubt it. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Let me see. Okay. All right. So I wanted to get to the AC stuff. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to it today. I've got to run and pick up one of the kiddos from Skew. So I've got to run, actually. Will Powers interview this week? Not this week, but maybe we do a follow-up one if he's available the week following. It's just once the embargo lifts, we can actually talk openly. But until then, we just can't. So much love, everybody. You guys are fantastic. I appreciate the gosh darn heck out of every single one of you. You guys are awesome. I will be back. I think tomorrow I've got plenty to talk about. So I'll be back. Maybe we'll try a marathon or something, or not. I've got more stories and things we have to work through. So I'll be back tomorrow, rocking and rolling. Much love. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Go give a loved one a hug. Tell them Luke sent you. They're going to be so confused. Just a hug. Luke told me to do this. Like, what? What? I didn't say anything. Just for me, okay? Much love. And remember, whenever you doubt yourself, just remember, yes, we candle. Until next time, my friends. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.